I think we are good to go here. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Forging Theories live stream on YouTube. Today I have Mr. Jalapeno and the Chief joining me for our MCU tier ranking of everything from the very beginning, Captain America, the First Avenger, to what actually is not on the board, Wakanda Forever, that just came out recently. We are also going to include our Netflix series, The Defender Saga, and give you guys our takes on some Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and also Tom Hardy's Venom. So we're going to get a good idea of what's the best, what's the worst, what's going on in between. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm hyped. I love the tier list. Let's get it.
That's what I want to hear.
I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
Well, listen, for everyone watching, we typically all get together Sunday nights, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So always check back here. If you are watching this delayed and when it's posted, leave some comments. Let us know what you guys think. Where would you rank all these movies? Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone has different philosophies of how they rank their movies. But we're going to go through, break down the tiers, and then within each tier, hopefully get ourselves in order from best to worst. So I'm going to get into it. Gentlemen, Captain America, the First Avenger. This,
I go back and forth with this one, honestly, because like there's some aspects of it that are so. First initial watch, I thought it was just okay. Like when I first came out of the theater, it was just okay to me. But as time has gone on and Cap has developed more of his character, you kind of get to see like the beginnings of his character and you appreciate it more. So I feel like time has served this movie a bit and it's put it up a bit higher for me.
Which is interesting. Because I think a lot of these movies, and we've talked about this a lot off screen, is like you can set these movies, but as time goes on, like the MCU is fluid, right? It's not just a trilogy and then you walk away from it and then it maybe gets referenced here or there, depending on whatever studio produced it. Like these characters and movies evolve over time. So you have characters like we're going to talk about in the very beginning who've had how many appearances has Cap had? 7, 8, 10?
Probably 10. Yeah, he's got his 3 movies, 4 Avengers, and then
a Thor: The Dark World made up appearance.
a little cameo.
Oh yeah. So technically we could say 8.
Yeah.
And you figure he still lives on in Falcon and Winter Soldier pretty hardcore. So I personally count that as like that character still, the essence of that character still lives.
Exists, yeah.
So I mean, take that into consideration, 7, 8 appearances, whereas we get a Moon Knight whose series was very self-contained. We don't know the next time Moon Knight's going to show up. They left us with a cliffhanger with post-credit scene or mid-credit or whatever you want to call it for Disney Plus. And people love that character. So it's like, where's the weight? Do I put a 1 appearance Disney Plus show over Pete Cap? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But where do we slide him on the board? Are we thinking D, this is probably one of the worst movies. Mm-hmm. C, it's average. Again, average for the MCU is probably great for a lot of other studios. B, slightly above average, but now you're getting into like, this could be a great movie or a very good movie at least. Or A rank, which, I mean, I would consider that a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys feel about that. Does A feel like a great to you guys?
Yeah, I would have to agree. And then S is like a perfect movie. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah. For me personally, it just barely gets that A because there's some parts of it where I'm like, especially like the CGI for when he's little Steve Rogers, like that stuff was a little hard for me to watch. Even to this day on rewatches, I'm still like, that's tough. One of my biggest complaints about the movie was the montage scene for when he finally is in action as Cap.
Oh my god, bro, so corny, dude. Those are the days, though. I mean, that was like before Marvel had its like.
I wanted so much more of like that war time with him. Like I like those scenes, but I felt
Yeah.
like I didn't get enough of him actually like being at war,
Hmm.
which that's just my own personal grab. That's just what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So not necessarily a bad thing. It's just how I viewed it coming out of the theater.
Hmm. I'd have to agree. I think I'd say like because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. As much of a hype I am now, I didn't hop into these first phase movies until Avengers in the theater. So for my say, I would say Cap's at a C because it wasn't really till Winter Soldier when he got elevated.
Mm.
And from where he was in the first Avenger, the Captain America first Avengers to Winter Soldier was a drastic jump for me. So if I put him at anything higher than a C, then that would mean Winter Soldier is a pitch perfect movie. So that's kind of where I'm standing.
Interesting. This, I mean, for me, this was my worst movie. When this came out, I did not like this movie whatsoever. I didn't really like Captain America. But this movie was one of those where it benefited from the MCU growing. And I think this got a lot better. And you kept going back to these, remember that initial Avengers one where you're just like, who are all these characters? And that was an easy but fun rewatch. And I rewatched this movie way too much. And I was just like, wow, you know what? I actually like him because I liked him in Winter Soldier, because I liked him in Avengers, because I continued to. I looked beyond all those things that bothered me in my first watch. However, I do not think that this overall is a great movie. For me, this sits somewhere in a C.
I feel like the highest I would put it is B for me. Like that is probably as high as you can make an argument for A for some people because I've seen some people really hold this movie in high regard, but again those issues I brought up for me,
Mm,
if we
okay.
want to leave it at C, I'm okay with that, but I feel like B might be more appropriate.
Best part of this movie for you guys. I think that's the thing. Is what is your highlight? What is your low light?
For me personally, the highlight was the way that they said that the super soldier serum enhances what's within. So in that moment when they throw the grenade and everybody's out of there, they're like, I'm not risking my life. And little scrawny Cap over here jumps on and it says, everybody get back. Get back. I mean, that's a true I can't even think of the word.
Like a hero moment.
A true
Patriot
hero moment, right? Like he's literally the scrawniest guy, cannot keep up with any of them. And that was a character defining moment right there, saying at the end of the day, he will lay on that grenade. And he never flawed from that moment on into the last time we ever saw him.
Interesting. What about villain? Because I feel like Red Skull is someone who kind of got buried, especially in Endgame.
I think he's underrated.
I
I
agree.
think the performance there was actually spot on, and he actually was the highlight of the movie at the time when I saw it. I think he portrayed him very well, and the visual effects for him were actually very impressive for the time that it was coming out.
Yeah.
The fact that they went practical effects, because I feel like nowadays they would have just CGI'd his skull.
100%.
But I agree with Elias. The whole process of them explaining why he was the perfect choice for that formula. Basically, everything from the beginning all the way to when he gets the formula injected into him and he chases down that guy that ends up swallowing that pill
Mm-hmm.
is great. Besides looking past the CGI big head, small body, Steve Rogers, the storytelling was great. The thing that really slowed it down for me was the fact that he started only being used as a propaganda machine, which makes sense. You get to see that little extra suit of Cap,
Yeah.
like the comic accurate one, but it slows the movie almost to a crawl, and then he goes to save Bucky, and then after that you get a montage of him saving or destroying multiple outposts, and then you get to the train, and then the final Red Skull encounter.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really comes down to the moment when he gets the serum. Is probably my favorite moment.
Interesting. I think my true hero moment for him always was, and it's always a good recall, was when he takes the plane down. And he's like, I can't let this get to New York or wherever it was heading to. And he's like, I'm going to risk my life. That was the one thing you can always say about him from the very jump, was he is going to be that hero. But I think based on hearing those things, it sounds like it's in between an A and a B. You could make the argument to move it up. But to that point, we're going to keep it at a B. We can change it. We'll keep it at a B. Captain Marvel. Captain. The other captain.
There can only be one. Variety of opinions on this one I've seen.
Yeah. I think if I were to say a highlight, I think they definitely made her kind of that like power character and really stuck with that. Like they own that she's raw as a character, but at the same time, like she'll fight you and she's okay with one arm behind her back kind of thing. Like she'll beat you down if she needs to, and she's always kind of kept that high level for me, even though this wasn't the first time that we saw her. Because technically her first appearance was
no, this was the first.
This was her first appearance.
Yeah, we only got the buzzer in the Infinity War.
That's right. She was a post credit, and then we got yes.
No, what you're thinking, Greg, is that she filmed Endgame before she filmed Captain Marvel, but we saw Captain Marvel first. Yes. I actually enjoyed this movie. I'm a huge fan of the shapeshifter aspect of it, and just thinking, kind of the implications of who could be a Skrull. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There was some points where I think Brie Larson really took her feminist, ideology in there and said, like, I never have to take answers from a man or from you or whatever. But as a whole, I think when she went binary mode, dude, it was over. And I think that's really what they were trying to establish, is that once this girl comes into the scene, they're going to be able to level the playing field when it comes down to massive battles like that, like we got a chance to see in Endgame.
So do you think this did a good job of establishing her MCU character?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, it's probably like a mid character introduction. I don't hold it up there like I do with Shang-Chi, or even like, in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we got Namor. But I'd say it's like a good mid character introduction.
I think the biggest highlight of the movie is, other than that power scene, like when she like really shows up Ronan's ship and looks like an actual threat. I wish they had more scenes with her helmet on, because I think she looks awesome when she's got that helmet on.
Agree.
Like it's a very like cool visual. But other than that, her relationship with Nick Fury is what really works for me in this movie.
Mm.
And that dynamic that they have off the jump was actually very cool to see. So you get essentially like the small buddy cop movie, and I wish though she got to get a little bit more of her personality back throughout the movie, because she's just like a stone cold brick wall almost the whole movie.
That's what felt off for me. If she wasn't in costume, anytime she was out of that suit, I was just like, oh, bro. Even in the very beginning, like the whole like Veers thing, like I get it, but it was just like, I don't know. The movie just felt off to me from beginning to end for the most part.
Yeah, it also, I felt like some of the stuff didn't fit, like with it being a prequel. I felt like they shoehorned a lot of stuff in there for her that didn't entirely make sense. Like she's the reason that they're called the Avengers.
Mm.
But then she kind of just doesn't end up living up to the name in Endgame.
Yeah.
And I feel like we just haven't seen enough of her.
Yeah.
There's some other. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I remember there being a lot of like, all right, well, because like there's a dialogue in the Avengers movie, right, where he points at Thor and he's like, he is the reason that we are trying to prepare for a higher form of war.
Yeah. Yep.
But you know about her and you know about the Skrulls.
Right.
I mean, it kind of just contradicts itself. Like you can walk around that. You can explain yourself around that, but it's one of those things like when you are so connected in a universe and you notice it just is a blaring flaw from like the entire since it's affecting the grand story, it's affecting the main story of this singular movie.
Yeah.
So for me, it's C tier at highest.
Okay. Elias, where you at?
I mean, I think a C tier, especially after he says that, I'd have to agree.
I feel that way as well.
I enjoyed it, but see, like for me, this is kind of where it's tricky because I enjoyed it better than the first Cap. But thinking about it critically, I can see why it's not better. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of with these rankings. I put a lot of weight into the enjoyment aspect, and that's kind of how it goes.
See, I actually agree with that because I'll tell you right now, the experience that I had coming out of the theater the first time I saw First Avenger versus the first time I saw Captain Marvel actually is a bit higher for me. Or like, just a little bit. Like it would be around the same range, but it was definitely, I felt like a better experience for me. Probably because they figured out the formula more by that point.
Yes. That's that, and that's exactly how I feel. That's what I was going to say. Is like the hype going into a Captain America First Avenger movie and the hype going into Captain Marvel were two completely different things. I didn't really know what to expect going into Captain America. But going into Captain Marvel, knowing that she's the one who Nick Fury used the beeper for, I'm like, well, they didn't call her for Avengers. They didn't call her for Age of Ultron. Like, now this is the big threat and this is the big gun that we're going to get. And I don't know. I think that actually might have been a detriment to, again, that experience for me personally. However, from a rewatchability standpoint, I'll take Captain America 1 over Captain Marvel all day.
Yep. But we can leave it at C tier.
We can always change it.
Here's the real banger.
There's the real banger right here, baby.
Oh man, the forgotten redheaded stepchild of the MCU.
I'm gonna just throw this out there. I actually really enjoyed this movie.
So did I. This was the first and only Marvel Phase 1 movie I actually saw in theaters, because prior to being a Spider-Man stan, Hulk was my guy. And I think that this was the best version of the Hulk in terms of like a menacing character that we ever got. Like that one scene on the university.
Oh, I love that scene.
Dude, that scene, dude, I could just run that scene on rerun, bro.
Oh, when Blonsky comes out and Blonsky's like, all right, let's go. And he's just like,
he's running, bro. Bro, give me Blonsky, Cap, and Black Panther in a race. Let me see who can run the fastest, dude.
My guy Thanos timing it. And
he's all right, ready? Whoever makes it to me first doesn't get snapped.
I've always been an apologist for this film. I feel like it was way overhated for far too long. And I mean, unfortunately, due to the lack of action of the Hulk himself and the lack of action in She-Hulk, it really elevated this movie all of a sudden for a lot of people.
Yes, it did.
I mean, I've seen that from the beginning. Like, I was like, that fight at the end is like 10 out, like it's messy, but it's supposed to be. I mean, there's two giant hulking beasts. Like, it's not going to be pretty. It ain't going to be well choreographed. It's not a martial arts like mixed MMA battle.
Nope.
So,
but I think exactly what you said. I think that's the key to this when you look back and you rewatch this. It's She-Hulk for me that even makes this movie a step up. Because, like, look at how raw She-Hulk was, especially in her Hulk form. But then you got this guy who's just like, yo, let me just cross my arms and coffin out of a plane right into the street, wake up and be like, let's go. Like,
hey, he tried that in Ragnarok again.
I know. I did enjoy that. I caught that when I was watching the person. I was like, no way, did he really do that? And I was like, okay. I don't know.
It worked out, but it didn't work out.
I think for me, where it loses its value, because like this is one of those ones where you have the banger fight sequences, kind of like a Black Adam, right? You have these good fight sequence, good scenes in terms of that, like power display, but then it's like, what's up with this overall story? And it's not till almost 12 years later when they finally say, hey, the leader might be in existence, getting a hold of Hulk's blood might be an issue now. Like, bro, the Hulk has been in the MCU for 10 plus years,
Yeah.
and never once has anybody tried to get his blood. Everybody's trying to go for Cap's blood. It's like, bro, give me Hulk, dude. I'll take Hulk's blood over Cap's blood any day.
Yeah. I mean, was it the rights to these characters and moments? Like, what was the big hang up overall of why they couldn't use what they introduced in the MCU already? Like, carry those storylines forward. Is that just a choice that Feige and crew just were like, no, we're not going to touch it until 2023 or 2024?
I think it just comes down to the rights. I mean, Universal produced most of this movie, I believe, and they were the ones basically in charge of saying, "Hey, it's not worth it. We're not making our payback on this character. So I mean, y'all could use them in your features and your TV shows, but you're not making these movies because we're the ones that have to dish out the money for them."
Yeah.
And MCU probably, or Kevin Feige was probably like, you know what, you guys are right. We probably can't do that. We're just gonna wait a while because, I mean, if you look at it, they probably knew that a lot of their bigger characters were gonna get retired at some point. So you have to come to the forefront eventually.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with Hulk movies and Hulk stories, that at least starting out, the thing that you're going to the theater that you want to see, the main character Bruce Banner is trying to get rid of.
Yep.
So the thing you want to see the most is literally the obstacle in the main character's life. I'll say this: Edward Norton doesn't quite work for me for Bruce Banner.
Nope.
I like Mark Ruffalo more as Bruce Banner.
Yes.
This design of the Hulk in concept works for me, but the 2012 Hulk look, the way he's just kind of more like a, I don't want to say realistic because turning green ain't realistic, but like it's kind of like, like above peak performance of what a human being of some size or stature could get to. Because in the comics,
Right.
when he first turns into the Hulk, he's only like turning into like a 6'7" like giant beast ape type thing.
Yeah.
He's not like Eric Bana and Lee Hulk where he's like turning as big as a building.
Dude, that dude was crazy. That movie slept on though. That movie slept on.
I hate that
do
movie.
like his look in that movie. It's just there's not enough Hulk in that movie, and that again goes back to my point where you spend the whole story with these people trying to get rid of them. That's why Avengers 1 worked so well. Hulk stole the show because he finally got to play the hero.
Yep.
And he got to smash freely.
Those are the biggest things. That's the biggest thing for me. I even love that in that, gosh, I forgot that animated Young Avengers one with Ultron. Of like, it's inside, but I love when
Next
Bruce.
Avengers?
Yes, Next Avengers. When he's just like, I have to use him. Like, this has to be done. Like, he has to come out if we have a chance. Like, I like that kind of Bruce Banner where he's just like, this is the weapon that will win, but I'm reluctant to use it. And I hope we get that in the future. But
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Hulk is the one I need to see. If y'all never seen that cartoon, that is the goated Hulk. The way Hulk can articulate his speech, he's not smart, but he can talk and talk for himself.
Yeah.
And he knows how strong he is. He knows that he talks a big game, and he actually talks to Banner while he's the Hulk.
But I want that.
I want that dynamic so bad.
Yeah.
So bad, but we'll see if we ever get it.
I don't know. Am I excited that we're talking about this? Like, there's, for some reason, I'm like, do we move it down? Do we move it up? Does it stay here?
Oh, it's an F tier movie. I'm just playing.
Whoever's watching this, whether it would be live or post, would probably turn it off. So.
I'd say put it at C in front of Captain Marvel.
We got someone in the comments popping in and out there. It looks like.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you saw, but I
feel
like
I don't have two. I don't have two screens right now, so apologies. I don't have two screens, but we will get the comments.
Okay. I feel like it does ultimately belong in C tier because just the pacing in general. It doesn't necessarily hold up on rewatch. The movie feels long. As much as I love the performances by William Hurt as Thunderbolt, and then I always forget Emil Blonsky's actor.
Yes.
Tim Roth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, I feel like were a great duo. They had great chemistry together, talking to each other. They felt like actual former military people, or someone that's already currently in the military, I should say. It felt like the vibe from the comics where like the military was always coming after someone.
We do have a comment. L Shooter. Real quick. I can see why Marvel Studios decided to kill off Red Skull until Infinity War. Kind of hard to market a movie in this age with a bunch of swastikas. LOL. Fair point. Very fair point.
Very fair. But they did successfully in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show really bring on the Hydra look, because they definitely tried, at least in the first Avenger, they tried to make the Red Skull and his Hydra ways distant from the real world Nazis. So
Yeah.
he tried to make it seem like he was trying to do something completely different than what the Nazis were doing in World War II.
Yeah. But again, that's just like we said in our last live stream. You know, Marvel, they take these stories and these characters and apply them to current times and events. You know, it's like back in the 50s or whatever it might have been, or even in the 60s after everything's said and done, that story might have been a lot hotter and a little bit different than it was. But all right, moving on to Iron Man. Iron Man 1. I'm going to sit it here for right now.
This is the one I've rewatched the most.
Yes. I literally was going to say that I have seen this more than probably any other.
I'm lying, because I've seen the first Avengers movie at least like 60 times. No exaggeration.
I've seen parts of it when it's on TV. I'm like, oh, Avengers is on? I'm like, okay, same scene.
Nah, fam. I watched that. That movie was a treasure and a gift from God when I saw that movie. I saw that movie so many times in marathon form on its own. I watched it with the commentary on. Like
I had the bootleg China. Like
I wish I had
a
that
printed out DVD slipped into just like a thin black cover. I didn't have it. I didn't watch it. Don't know who got it. If you're watching this, I have no idea what I just said.
Yeah, man. Iron Man, the one that kicked it all off.
I think that Iron Man is probably a top tier B in the B list, like number one in the B section. It could possibly bump into the low end of A, but the thing that kind of gets me for that is in the early stages of the MCU, it was really the villains were just an evil replica of the heroes. You know what I'm saying? Like we got the Ironmonger. He wasn't trying to do anything different. He was just trying to take the powers that Iron Man had and use it for his own sake. And there wasn't too much like 3-dimension to it.
I will say that he has a good performance prior to that, getting that suit where he does the numbing thing, and basically is talking down to him, and finally is telling him, giving him a piece of his mind. And then who could forget the iconic line, "Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of straps."
Yeah.
Well, I'm not Tony Stark.
Yeah, I mean that was definite credit to, Jeff Bridges' character there, but like I said, if you were to compare Killmonger, who is like essentially a replica of Black Panther, to Ironmonger versus Iron Man, bro, I'll take Killmonger all day.
Oh, there's no comparison there, man. He has way better motive.
But for the time and what had happened, complete movie in my opinion. All the characters, I have never felt that each character, like the bad guy, Stain was a bad guy. I did not want him to win. Iron Man, good guy. Tony, you're rooting for him all day. You're rooting for him and Pepper, like from the get-go. Like he's bringing home other chicks. You're like, no, that's the wrong girl. You need to be with Pepper. And even Rhodey, whatever, for the whole recasting and stuff. Like his side characters, whatever. But I personally, what I really like about this and what has always stood the test of time and why I believe that this is the best Iron Man movie is that hero who has his fall. And I love when the heroes aren't at 100% and they have to figure out a way to win. And they eventually do. But I love the part where he's not full strength because of his heart, his power source, the whole arc. That to me was a good story, but it felt like the essence of a classic superhero story that was told during that time.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled now. We got a lot to compare it to. And I mean, I guess in the same way that we've aged with Cap and thought more of his movie. I suppose the same could be true of thinking less of one that we thought was good and like something could have aged poorly. I don't know if that fits for this movie. That to say that it aged poorly, because I mean it's the OG like in this line of thinking.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what did they have? What did they really have to go off of to try and replicate before this with like non superhero movies? Just Spider-Man and the X-Men and Ghost Rider and some other things.
I mean, you follow that up though with Iron Man 2, which I think we can all agree is definitely does not hold a candle to this first movie. But like their intro, I think they did a really good job because a lot of movies that follow are actually some of the worst movies, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
So it's not like everything after this is hands down better.
Yeah. Yeah, they set the bar high and then they just couldn't match it.
No, but I think that's a testament though to Robert Downey Jr. and his representation. Just like Henry Cavill is always going to be my Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey Jr. is always going to be Iron Man. When I see him in comics and games and stuff, like I just picture Robert Downey Jr. Everyone looks like him to me. I know that there's stuff that goes into that, but for me, this movie is on the A.
Okay.
It did something that no one else really did. It pioneered the MCU, and I think that carries a lot of weight, and everything else kind of supports. It was a good, really good movie to me.
Yeah. I can live with that.
Yeah, I think A.
Let's get it, and then let's go ahead and throw that next one into the D spot, bro.
Oh, we're starting with the D, Iron Man 2.
I completely agree, man. That it was such a shame. I was so hyped for that movie going into the theater, and when I left, because I liked Mickey Rourke at the time. I was like getting into like some of his roles because I think the movie The Wrestler had just come out.
Yes.
And
he killed that role too, though.
He killed it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, he didn't do a terrible job in this. I mean, the script has some part to play in that, but like his dynamic with Justin Hammer, that there was zero chemistry there. Like that was just two bases like adding together and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They were just it fell flat. The party scene with Tony, like I get that he was going through a crisis because he thought he was going to die, but like it fits, but at the same time, it's just like I didn't want to see that.
Straight cringe factor.
Yeah,
I think for me, this two things. This was really just to establish the world building. We got Black Widow, who ended up being an OG from that point on. Rhodes got a little bit further into a character development arc, and then they've all continued from that point on. On top of that, the only other thing that's really good for this movie for me is it had one of the best suit ups to this day. That suitcase, bro. That suitcase.
Yeah.
When he did that, I remember I saw that. I was like, all right, that's a flex right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, toss me the suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
The look on his face when he's doing it though, like that, like I will say to that point, there are things that happen in Captain Marvel where like I talk about this every once in a while where you just like you get lost in the screen where you don't see anything around you. Like it is just I don't know if the lights are on or off or whatever. It's just a screen. Like that moment, I was so focused. But beyond that, I never really had that again in the movie.
Yeah.
So that Monaco scene, that was by far the best, and I thought Whiplash was pretty dope at that point. But that was it peaked very.
I was hyped for War Machine to be in this movie.
Same.
Because for me, I don't know if this ever happened to anybody else, but I discovered the existence of War Machine before I knew about Iron Man because of the first Marvel
did too.
First Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
So
and that big old cannon, just
the proton cannon or photon cannon, whichever one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hyped to see him, and for him to not have had that much footage with this suit is probably still the coolest one to me because it looks so like rugged and like custom made, and you could tell like he just threw everything in the kitchen sink on it. But that final battle, with all the drones, for as short and sweet as it was, when they locked in and they put their helmets, their faceplates down, and just went to town and destroyed everything, that was great.
Yeah.
Everything after that though was terrible because then Whiplash shows up and he gets insta killed, and that meme that goes around was like my disappointment is immeasurable and my day has been ruined. That's exactly how I felt, and I still feel that way to this day.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wasn't really in the story, but it's funny that you say the War Machine thing because I was super hyped about War Machine coming into this as well. Like I was very much about him. I never was about Iron Man, even in the toys. Like I just thought, almost like Man of Steel comparison to like or Steel compared to Superman kind of thing. Where like I like the side characters, but Rhodey's had to like think about this. They did this to him in Iron Man 2. Iron Patriot and Iron Man 3, and then really made him just like gun for the rest of the time. Like he's had a lot to recover from to really even put some hype into Armor Wars and that kind of stuff.
Which sucks. He's such a great actor.
Yeah, I agree. And they even roast him.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Ultimately, the movie is trying to do too much and delivers on too little.
I think we can all agree it stays there. But where does this movie fit? Thor 1.
Right there.
I agree with that.
Right there for now, and then you'll start to put more movies. Dude, for me, bro, like, and maybe it needs a rewatch because I haven't seen it in a minute, but I feel like I have a pretty decent memory. And what I can remember is Destroyer pulls up to some little ass town and gets one tapped. Bro, I felt like it was Book of Ashanti all over again. I was like, or before it even started, I guess. This was the groundwork for Book of Ashanti. I was like, dude, I don't know. I just felt like there wasn't enough Thor in this one for me. And like we've said, Ragnarok is really what put it on the map, like super elevated him. So I can't put him any higher than that.
Yeah, I for one enjoyed the story they were trying to tell. It drags a little bit, and ultimately the story is just a dude trying to learn how to be humble and understand what it means to be human and use that to become a better person. Now, this is the start of his amazing character development all throughout the movies, because you look at how he behaved at the beginning of this movie and even how he behaves in the beginning of Avengers 1. Completely different. It's way different. And I mean that's a testament to Chris Hemsworth and everything. A wasted Hawkeye cameo. This was the movie that also kind of made me realize, and I already kind of figured this because of the other post-credit scene with Hulk, but when Coulson pulled up, I was like, because it had been a while since I had seen Iron Man 2 and Thor came out. I don't know what time span. Time moved differently when I was in high school. When this movie came out, I forgot that Coulson was a character, and I was like, oh, it's the dude from Iron Man 1, and I forgot he was in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh, it's happening. Because when I kid you not, when I went to go see this movie, I was like, I don't know if we're getting Avengers. Like, they teased it in Iron Man 1, but I was like, I still don't believe it. Like, I don't know when they're going to pull this off or make this happen. So I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed what they tried to do. It just moved a little bit slow. Some of it's a little bit corny. But ultimately what they tried to do, they pulled it off, and it's good enough. It's an enjoyable ride. It's not atrociously offensive of a bad movie or anything.
Now this is gonna be controversial for you.
Boy.
But I put this on the same tier as I put Love and Thunder. From the standpoint of the character that they introduced in the story they tried to tell with him, they came full circle for that specific movie. And I always have felt, my mom loves this movie. She's made me watch this movie 1,000 times. What I did really like about this, though, is to what Fabian's point was. You have this person who thinks you have this god who comes down and he's like, you guys are mortals. I rule you. You have Loki. You have the whole thing with Odin, which I really like that story. The Frost Giants. Like, you had a lot of things that are underlying here. You still had Thor and his whole squad. And then you have that human who kind of breaks his walls down and shows him that he is actually worthy. Like, when you talk about a worthy aspect, I love how he was stripped of power and then got it back to, albeit one shot the villain, but the Destroyer really wasn't, the key of who he was destroying in the first place. It was Loki. And when I look at it from that aspect of the character that we got in that one film development, beginning to end, it felt very similar to how Ragnarok was. Or not Ragnarok, sorry, Love and Thunder, but actually to like a lesser extent. Because I feel like Love and Thunder, you get, what came before with Ragnarok. This was beginning to end. You still had a pretty different character as when the credits rolled. So, I don't know. For me, I think it's on this tier. I wouldn't put it any higher, but I definitely don't think it's like a contender for worst movie.
Mhm.
I'd probably put this in front of Captain Marvel, to be honest with you.
Oh, from enjoyment aspect, I can't. But
I couldn't either. I get where you're coming from, but like when you think about how much more well made, like as a movie in general, Captain Marvel is, like with like everything going in. The only thing the only thing that I would say that Thor has going for it a bit more is Loki. Tom Hiddleston still, even though this movie was a little bit lackluster in some regards, he still gave an amazing performance throughout the entire thing. I also liked Asgard more in this movie than the other movies.
I
Like the way it
agree with
looked.
that too. If this movie was remade in
aesthetic.
2019, 2020, or now, this would be a very different movie from a visual standpoint. I just think it suffers from the way that it looks and how kind of like the cinematography was a little bit cheesier back then, but that was kind of in. Whereas
that was like coming off of those Fantastic Four movies and those kind of stuff. So
yeah,
if Thor came out, like if Thor came out for the first time when we just got Thor: Love and Thunder, it would be a completely different story.
So I think we leave it here, right?
Yeah.
And it might bump down. We're not going as
look at our
quickly as
first baby.
This one, I hope we have no fights.
No.
Put it in the NA tier.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just, we can't even rank it. Doesn't exist. I mean, we're talking potential. Or is this even a conversation? Or
Bro, for me, that's S. That is S to me. Like when this movie came out, this was game changing. If this movie didn't work, we would not have what we have. We would not have Endgame. We would not have Infinity War. We would not be here arguing about if Phase 4 is mid or not. This movie did a lot perfectly. And before all the other movies started becoming a huge comedy fest, everyone revered how funny this movie was and how great the character interactions were. Everyone got pretty much equal screen time in this movie. This movie was tough to pull off. The action was fantastic. The comedy, the characters, like everything was pulled off in such a great way that it made the previous movies better.
Exactly.
Like it made the other ones, it elevated the other movies. People that didn't even bother watching the other ones were like, "Oh, I got to go check out the other ones." Did I miss something with Loki and Thor? Oh, what happened in Thor? How did Captain America end up in the ice? I need to go see. Like I know a lot of people say that it's like basically Iron Man and the band, but I don't know. That holds a special place in my heart. I know some people say that it has not aged well compared to what else we've gotten, but that other stuff, this walked so the others could run.
Ooh, I like that.
I give it an S tier, man. After just listen to that man bleed his heart out right there, bro. I just gotta go with it.
But again, that's that weight for me. It did something that no one else has done and no one else could do. It was the first. It was the first team up. No one can ever stake claim to that. None of these movies that we talked about before did anything like that. And really, it revolutionized superhero movies as we knew it. Like, this wasn't a crossover. This was a movie. Like, this wasn't a one-time crossover event, and, CW-wise that we got. Like, okay, let's watch that. This was like, man, to see this live action, like you got this animated at best, or you video game, or you just did it yourself with toys. Like that was really the only way you were getting something like this side by side with all these characters. And go ahead.
No, I'm not trying to sound gatekeeping or anything, because the more the merrier. The more people that are interested in this stuff, I want questions. I want people asking me anything and everything. If I know the answer, I'm going to share it with you. This movie made it okay to be a nerd.
Yeah,
Everybody and their grandmother after this made $1 billion was
Yep.
like, oh, I love superheroes. Where are all these
Uh-huh.
other superheroes? Why isn't Spider-Man in there? We want to
Yeah.
see the new Spider-Man. And that's in all aspects of nerdom. Like people wanted to watch more anime. People wanted to get into all kinds of stuff. And here I was, my whole early childhood getting bullied for it. But
100%.
but
100%.
that's the past. This is the future. Like people deserve to see this stuff, and I'm glad that this movie existed to get people appreciating all this amazing content.
I mean, this put that name Avengers on the map, and right up there with your X-Men, right up there with your Fantastic Four, right up there with Justice League. Like, I feel like this elevated Avengers across all facets.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, it made it okay. Like, I don't know anything else that's really done anything like that.
Vindication.
It is kind of my gatekeeper, though. I do feel that way, where I'm like, is it better than Avengers? And again, it's not going to do what Avengers did, but like, was the story told better? Let's say this: while we have an S tier, I feel like we wouldn't be doing it justice if we just moved on. Highlight of the Avengers movie for you: favorite scene, favorite characters.
The truth is, I'm always angry, bro. Dude, when he said that, that's one of the coldest lines, and then followed up by one of the best sequences. Where's that Hulk now, though? Bro got ran over by a Jeep.
Bro, he doesn't even look as good as he did in that movie. No other movie does he look that good. You look at the behind the scenes stuff for the way they designed that Hulk, the way they animated his skin, the way he looked like when he was getting bigger, when he was first transforming, and they even like put the reflection in his eyes for like when he was getting shot by the jets.
You see this?
Where did that visual effects team go?
Where's Harry, bro? Harry's gonna say Hulk looks like a literal Funko Pop nowadays.
Bro, he does though. I just said that to you. I just got the She-Hulk Funko Pop, and I'm like, like, first off, the guy doesn't even match. But second, he doesn't look good. Like, this guy has muscles upon muscles upon muscles, and he just looks like this smooth mold of plastic. I don't know.
He may return to his former glory, but the visual effects team needs to come back for him. That's all. That's all I have to say.
100%.
They gotta make him look good again.
Bro, you know what else I loved in this is like this was one of the first movies where like when the combos happened when they were in the forest, when it was Iron Man versus Thor, and then like you get like just heroes kind of facing off against each other and using their powers. Where like when Thor blasts Iron Man with his lightning, and then you hear Jarvis, and he's like what 200% or whatever power, and he's like, oh, look at that. Like,
how about that?
Yeah, how about that? Like that just it just had so many cool...
Or even finally getting to see Thor swing his hammer at Hulk. Like that was, and then the little tidbit that he couldn't lift the hammer, and his feet were digging into the ground as he tried to lift the hammer. It was just those little tidbits for like fans that had seen these little things like for years in the comics.
Yep.
And it's like I got to see it animated and put into live action. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yes.
But for me, my scene is just easily when they're all wrapped around and the camera's panning around them and they're all together. That was like my animated screensaver on my computer for an extremely long time. It was just on repeat. I would leave that laptop open, and I would go to sleep with them rotating around for all eternity.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, let's burn through these next couple ones and get to the good one. Thor, Dark World.
Wait, Iron Man 3 came out first.
Did it?
It did. Trust me, I know, because I remember that the hype, it was the movie coming off the tail end of Avengers, and everyone thought it was going to be the second coming of Christ.
All right, let me just
You can put it right there. Yep, 1, 2, 3, just like that.
Oh.
So
I feel like Iron Man 3 is at least a little bit better than Iron Man 2. I feel like the story overall is better told in a more well-made movie. I do agree that Mandarin twist is awful. Adrian
hated
Pierce
that.
Not even just Mandarin twist, bro. Bro was a human dragon, dude. Way before we even had the Great Protector from Shang-Chi.
Hey, I'm not defending that part.
That to me was crazy. When I saw that, I was like, all right, bro, this ain't.
No, I didn't like that either. Very, I don't know. Iron Man just doesn't have like a great plethora of villains, and if he fought the real Mandarin now that we know him as, he would have been
That would have
he would have
been
been
game
chop suey.
over, bro. That was actually a favor that they did. He would have been done.
But I like the story where he's going through his PTSD from going
sure.
through like
I
a
was
lot of
just gonna
stuff that
say
he wasn't used to. He thought he had all the answers. He's the man with
Yes,
all the
yes.
answers and all the answer to every question and every possibility.
Mhm.
And it leads perfectly into what he deals with Age of Ultron, trying to put the suit of armor around the world. It's just that little stuff that puts it above Iron Man 2 for me and makes it, because it's less of a mess of a movie in that regard.
Yeah. No, that's true. I can see that.
But it's barely C for me. So I agree, it's not the greatest.
That's gonna be
but it's
last
barely C.
last one on the C tier for sure.
But that's the interesting thing, though, is you look at this like Iron Man. If you were to ask people their favorite character, now this we've gone back and forth on this for a long time. Of like Iron Man is one of the top characters in the MCU, but then now we have 2 of his 3 movies that are below average.
He is still a great character even in the crappy movies, though.
Yes, and that is for me what elevates us from being one of the worst movies, because Pepper getting powers, Aldrich Killian was whatever. The fake Mandarin really made me mad. Like going into this movie, I was extremely hyped. And this
Bro,
is
his
like
voice in the trailers.
awesome.
You'll never see me coming.
That is so good. But I felt kind of like slighted as a fan. Like I felt almost like WWE style, where I bought this ticket and I showed up, and then you're just like, we're not going to have the main event.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean we're not going to have the main event? Like, why am I here?
Bro, that was the first time Marvel got affected by fans, because they were like, wait, what do you mean you guys really want to see the Mandarin? Oh, hurry up and make a one shot.
And then they blew up all the suits. At the time, we were kind of wondering, is he going to be back for Avengers 2?
Yep.
Like, because we didn't have all this insider information yet.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like people were just barely getting into this stuff, kind of. We didn't know. Like, we don't know where this was going to go. Did he just retire? They took the thing out of his chest.
Yeah.
That's kind of what makes him Iron Man. But the whole idea of the movie is that he doesn't need that to be Iron Man. He is Iron Man.
Which was a cool moment, especially at the very end. But you know, the MCU was not the MCU at that point. So to think like, you know, now something like that happens, we're like, oh, he definitely has something in store that's better. But at that time, exactly to your point, I'm just like, is this the last we're going to see? Because I'm heartbroken. This is his 4th appearance. So, yeah, see, we'll leave it.
And then Thor is right where it needs to be. We don't even have to discuss that.
Yeah, no, let's just skip over that. Let's say worst part of Thor, though, because we got to kind of justify just a
It's
little
Malekith. Malekith and his little henchman.
I thought it was
Boring.
Naked Selvig. Oh wait, no, was that?
No, that
in
was that
Avengers.
movie.
Was that in Avengers or that was that one?
No, Selvig had his right mind. They used him pretty well in Avengers, at least. This one was the one where he like was losing his shoe and Stanley wanted his shoe back.
Didn't they go through the portal or something? I don't know. Some stuff I went through. But
I will say when he utilized the portals, that was a pretty cool fight scene. But Loki's cool in the movie, as usual.
I started to like Loki here.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they did that whole switcheroo at the end with who is his like right hand man, big dude that they fought, who the bomb just like sucked him up. What is his name?
Oh, the big dude.
Yeah, the bigger one.
I think it was Troll or something.
Something like that. I can't.
It starts with a K, I think.
I keep thinking like Core Out. That's not.
I don't know. He is one of the most cool design, but very very forgettable.
I think that's what they leaned in and did not work for me. Is like this movie was supposed to be cool, like blonde hair guy, Thor, the god, everyone like, oh, like baseball players are being named after Thor now because he looks like Chris Hemsworth and this kind of stuff. And it's like this movie just did not.
We got an Infinity Stone.
Elias, you know my thoughts on the Ether. I thought it was the worst, but it was a very cool callback when Thor told the story in Endgame.
I'm glad they stuck to their guns there.
Yes. But I did not like that, and I did not like Natalie Portman in
that far. Me personally, I put it just a little bit above Iron Man 2, but for the sake of just moving forward, because who wants to argue about two bad movies?
Yeah.
They'll just
Yeah.
leave them where they are.
Okay. Now we're gonna start it off here. We'll see if it's gonna go down or up.
Bro.
Bro, why are you playing games?
Bro,
Why are you playing games?
Why you
It's
trying to be a clickbaiter, bro? Put it right in front of. Ooh, see, I would put it in front of Iron Man, but so the thing is,
A tier for sure though.
A tier at the very least, or bottom of the S tier.
Hmm.
I'm going S tier. I don't think that's you got something to say over there, MCU Lee?
Listen, for
You have
me,
a counter argument?
this is one of the best. This is one of the best, especially because once the Russos came on, they were like, it's game on in the MCU. Like, this completely changed the way that I view the MCU. Even from Avengers, the feel of this movie, you could feel the difference between everything that came before it. And when Cap first gets on that boat, first off, when they're like, oh, you don't need a parachute? And he's like, nope. I'm like, this is not the same Cap that we saw in the first one. I'm very interested now. From the very jump to he's just smoking people. Like, where'd your power out come from?
When those punches, the way those punches felt, I know you could feel those.
And he was
I
silent
felt bad for those people.
Oh, yeah. He's
Bro,
like,
top tier choreography on that one. Bro,
Yes.
throw it in the S tier. Right
The
after
S tier.
Avengers.
now what would put this in like a one of a kind situation for you guys? I have just a couple things that I'll be short-winded on.
Go.
Oh, we're doing it quick. Got it. Simply the story, you're starting to get more stories that are intertwined, but they're at a high level. You have Cap's story, you have Hydra's story, you have Shield's story, you're getting Nick Fury, Scarlett Johansson starting to get a good story on that side, and then you bring in the relationship in Winter Soldier and Bucky, and like now you're real. Like, I am interested in a lot of stories that are going on here, and they all cross over. Then you add Falcon, a little tease with another villain for a future with Crossbones. Then you see, you get your Zola's algorithm. You're like, who are the bad guys in this? Like, it was just kind of the like espionage spy thriller that like you would expect from a non-superhero movie, that they fit into this, and it worked perfectly to me. Perfectly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so many stories were told, and I think that they were all great stories that I wanted to see explored. First movie that I could say to this point where I'm just like, I want to know everything about all of you.
This movie is mandatory viewing. Like, when you want to do like a fast track MCU like watch through, like just get to the good stuff, kind of. This is the good stuff. This you can't just skip over this, because it has world damning implications for the future of the MCU. And it picked, like, what happens here gets picked up right at the beginning of Age of Ultron. So, I mean, we put it there perfectly. I don't think there's much argument to be had, but I think everybody loves this movie across the board. I have yet to find someone that has had one just generic hate where they call it mid or whatever, or have a compelling argument why it's a bad movie.
There's no good reason why this could be. Just no. I would be interested though. Guardians.
I gotta put in the A tier, bro.
Started off A.
I think it's an A, dude. Dude, this to me was when I knew the Marvel machine was not stopping, bro. The fact that Marvel can make a movie like this with characters that I feel like at the time when it dropped, more than 90% of people had no idea who any of them were. They're hyped to go see this more than they're hyped to go see a Justice League movie with characters that are widely known. I think it's got to be an A tier.
If it's going A tier, it's got to be at the top of A tier.
I'm going to argue S on this for the simple fact of it changed the game from a space-based standpoint. I don't really consider Thor a space-based movie, even though they're not from Earth. And forget what we said about Captain Marvel, but like this put other creatures on the map. And even I sent you guys that article. I don't know if you guys saw it, from what James Gunn was saying about, the whole Nova thing of saying like I want one human character and everyone else to be alien, and to tell those stories. I wish Drax was different.
Yeah.
However, I think from a team's standpoint, like I look at this movie and I'm like, wait, is this an Avengers movie? Why are there multiple characters? Like I didn't know about the Guardians before this, and I was like, is this the next?
I barely knew anything about them.
I had no clue.
The only reason why I would not put it in the S tier is because the Guardians as a team, I feel like they cannot run with the Avengers. Like they don't have all the right tools in the toolkit. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the things that they do in this movie, although it's a phenomenal adventure to follow along with, a lot of it is out of convenience and like, you know what I'm saying? Like Peter Quill, he really just has some gadgets. Rocket uses guns. The best people on there are Groot and Gamora. You know what I'm saying?
Drax could have been handled better to make him like at least a heavyweight, but I mean they kind of had Groot for that.
Yes, that's how I feel in my head. That's how I justify it. But I thought this movie was funny. I thought a lot of stuff that they did in this, like you have more actors who are taking small roles, and I'm just like, wow, okay, more people want to be a part of the MCU now. Like, what's his face, who was in Step Brothers? Well, no, from the side.
John C. Riley.
Yeah, John C. Riley was in it. Yeah, you got Vin Diesel, you got Zoe Saldana, Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista.
Bro, Vin Diesel just needed a bag, bro.
I know, but his voice is, his voice is good. And then you got Bradley Cooper doing it. Like that cast is probably bigger than everyone else to this point. And then at the very end, like I just thought that was a pretty big moment when they all shared the Power Stone too.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me,
it also taught us about the Infinity Stones. Like definitely,
yeah.
Like it taught the audience a very important part of what the entire saga ended up being about. And you got to see Thanos talk.
Yeah.
Talk.
Albeit just a little bit.
Not get out of the chair. He ain't getting out of that chair.
But no, I mean, think about it. This movie did a lot of firsts and kind of again, like was a pretty big step forward. I think to your same point. When you say Winter Soldier, I feel like Guardians is right there with it. You can't watch the MCU without watching Guardians.
I feel like Guardians was like their answer to like Star Wars. And I don't remember if they had Star Wars rights at the time.
What was this, 2014?
Yeah.
I don't think so. All right, bro. I'll tell you, you can put it in the S tier. It'll probably be in the back half, but
we can kick it back. We can kick it back.
You got me.
Once we fill out A little bit more.
All right, bet.
Fellas, how are we doing on time? Because
we got an hour here, so we're gonna have to. I think a lot of these are very easy and definite.
Like, as we get towards the back half too, I think it'll go quicker too.
Phase 4 will slow down again, but we'll get there.
I think the next two could be a little bit quicker. Groot.
Both, bro. The next two for me, bottoms, bro. Right.
I'm gonna put Groot down here. Just simply. So I think it's enjoyable but forgettable, and let's move on.
Yeah. There's not much to say. I haven't even seen it.
And then Greg, you and I have had this conversation. Guardians 2, for me, and I will take this to my gravestone. I think it's the one movie you can entirely skip.
Yeah.
Within the MCU.
I feel that way. I've said that when people have asked me, friends, family, coworkers, like, should I watch Guardians after watching Guardians 1? I'm like, you can recap it, but for me, this movie, especially towards the back half of the Infinity Saga, like, just didn't really do much.
Yeah.
Besides Gamora's story. Gamora and Nebula, okay, but I don't feel like it's overly necessary.
They don't even reference it, really. Like, the only reference was that he had powers for a bit when he meets Thor.
Yeah.
Like, that his dad was a planet, and that it's mostly it.
And what bothers me, bro, and I've told you this so many times, I feel like he was born with the genetic powers of the Celestial, his father being Ego, right? Bro, and I've said this, my father is Mexican. If he passes away, or when he passes away, that doesn't make me no longer Mexican. I should still have that in my blood. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what bothered me the most, because I think that was a great opportunity for them to give Star-Lord the power creep that he needed, to be
Yeah.
able to run. Like if Star-Lord still had that power, he could be running with Thor all day, bro. So I would put it at D, in front of Iron Man 2. That's where I have it.
Yeah, I would put it personally. You could either say last of C or beginning of D. I don't think that makes much of a difference for me. I would probably watch it over everything in D.
That's where I would stand with it, is that I'd rather rewatch it. At least I'm not crying about rewatching it. Like, do I want to? No, but like, there's
Fair.
enjoyable moments. There's jokes. There's like
That's
decent
fair.
character interaction. It's not criminal. I mean, the soundtrack's still good.
Yeah.
Those gold people could have kicked rocks. I do not.
Bro. The whole moment of, you want to talk about post-credit scenes, and one that I'm like, and this was peak. Now we're talking about peak post-credit scenes. I'll call him Adam or whatever they said with that. I'm just like, where has he been, and why did you do that? Like, we're not going to get a payoff for years.
It's been years.
Well, yeah, but that was also part of the whole debacle with James Gunn having to leave for a sec there, because we would have been had him. We would have been had him already. And at the end of the day, James Gunn was the one who teased it. I feel like he has the rights of delivering the story that he wanted. Nobody else was gonna go in there and be like, well, I'll write in Adam Warlock to Eternals or whatever.
But that would have
feel
felt
like they
weird.
could have told they should have told some more of Thanos' story in this. I mean, this was the only cosmic movie in the Phase 3 lineup prior to. I mean, maybe Thor Ragnarok would have counted a little bit, but that didn't really have anything. He didn't have anything to do with Thanos. But like, they could have at least like had something like at the end, like saying, "Oh, he's attacking Xandar."
Yep.
Anything like there were just for me, like, I don't complain about this now, but at the time, it was something to complain about, that this movie didn't give us any type of connection really to the rest of the MCU. I mean, it was in space, so how could they?
Right, but they never once referenced all that blue stuff that was pulling up in Virginia or wherever it was. Like, bro, if I'm driving down the street and a big old gloop of blue ooze is sitting there,
yeah, they barely want to reference the Celestial. I see there's a whole movement on TikTok. I was like, why do you guys want to see people reference the Celestial so bad? Because it's a giant thing in the ocean. Like,
yeah.
Like, somebody's got to say something. Like, either deny its existence, or like Namor's probably got something to say about it.
Ooh.
Yeah, Namor probably got affected by the growth of that, bro.
Okay, we'll get there. All right, here we go. Age of Ultron.
It's an A tier for me.
Oh,
I love that one, bro. I love that one more than a lot of people have to give its credit.
I go back and forth with it because it has some great moments as the Hulkbuster. That Hulkbuster fight. Scarlet Witch was pretty awesome. I wish they didn't kill Quicksilver, because he would have been a game changer for the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, that's a what if episode I want to see. Like, what if he had kept? What if he was still alive? And how would the events have been different? Probably no Civil War, to be honest, because she wouldn't have gone and joined the Avengers after that, or they would have been together at least, and she would have had a second conscience. But that's not the point of this. Hulk, just after that battle, just kind of subsided. It has that Banner Widow romance that I didn't care for, but
I didn't care too much for it myself. I mean, they kind of, what I did really like about this is how this kind of furthered the rift. Like, you had that in Avengers 1, you kind of had that Cap Iron Man struggle of like, I'm the leader, I'm the guy. And then Avengers Age of Ultron, you kind of get like, what are you doing? And I think Tony had some really good points right before I think Thor flew in. But, what would say? The biker gang. It was a bed and breakfast for a biker gang. I don't know. This is something, but it was just like, I just like Tony in this, and the whole suit of armor around the world kind of concept. And I think that still kind of plays a role in this. For a world building standpoint, I really like this. But the overall interactions, I wasn't huge.
The same way that we kind of just like put it into Captain America, that Captain America got better over time, like the first Avenger, because of the way his character developed. I feel like this movie got better because of the way the MCU developed.
Yes.
the stuff that it set in place in this movie branched off into a lot of different directions
Mhm.
that were necessary for the rest of the
Sure.
Infinity Saga to be told.
Yeah,
Like this is the reason the Sokovia Accords happens.
just about to say that. Yeah, you got to put it in the A tier, bro.
Yeah, I agree. At A tier, like as time has gone on, I think it definitely should be there.
Now, the reason why I would keep it in the A tier and why I want to put it in here isn't because of any of those things in the future MCU. From the movie standpoint itself, Ultron. I loved everything about Ultron, from James Spader's voice to what he did, the way that he was just a true antagonist in this movie and agitated every single Avenger, and then utilized Scarlet Witch and built up her hate for him, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought to this point in this movie, I thought Ultron was the best villain that we've gotten in the MCU.
Yeah,
to
I
that
agree.
point.
Bro, when
I
he
agree, too.
hit him with that line saying there are no strings on me, I was like, oh, it's over. It's over.
I loved his upgrades too. The way he.
Oh
kept them.
yeah.
I quote him all the time too, because like whenever I read Thor, I read it the way that he says Thor.
Yeah.
Bro, what are you not being a voice actor for, man? Come on, get on there.
Oh, dude, I got all kinds. I got the your punishment must be more severe.
There you go. Hey, we're having a whole okay. We're gonna have a contest. I'm gonna recruit some people. We're gonna create our own comic, and you're gonna voice it over.
I get practice like because I read comics to my son in bed.
Yeah.
So like just now, and rest in peace to Jason David Frank, but I was reading a Power Ranger comic to him, so I had to do Tommy's voice.
That's solid.
So it was pretty sad.
Solid.
But anyways, the saying about Power Rangers.
No, we can have a separate chat on that one for sure.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
I got it in B in front of Captain America.
I agree.
Because like this is where I was already into the game, and I was like, all right, if I think about going to go see a movie in the theater for the first time, I was like, all right, I'm hyped for Ant-Man. I'm hyped to see his power portrayed on there and everything. Way more than I would have been seeing Captain America: The First Avenger. It's a mid movie, hands down, probably the worst Marvel villain. However,
I don't know about the worst. We might have to do a villain rank tier list sometime.
Underutilized. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Whoa,
you know what
makes No, I'm just setting it here for now. Once we talk about it, I promise you, this is not what I think. I'm just throwing it on here, like just from what we talked about most recently.
I was about to rage quit, bro.
No, I will say one thing for Ant-Man that I think was a detriment to it as time went on, and I know call it canon, call it not, whatever you want to say. It's cohesiveness of the rest of the MCU. The episode where Hank Pym is Yellow Jacket and owns everyone makes me wonder, like, why was Yellow Jacket such a bad, or I don't want to say bad, but a lesser villain in this, where he should have been insane, could have been insane. The whole character, Ant-Man, Wasp, Yellow Jacket, all of them could be
that whole power set is super dangerous, and I've always thought that through the comics, which is why he's always like Hank Pym and Ant-Man and all that has been like one of my favorite characters, because it's such a power set you're not going to take seriously. Let's just put it out there.
Right.
But it is incredibly dangerous, and this is before the boys made it a thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Thanos. We can't forget about the Thanos theory, boy.
Yeah, which we'll find out later if that ride line is canon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That, like cruise that has like footage of like all the Avengers together, and he's like, "You guys had a theory out there that I would go up there and get big and first of all gross and
yeah."
But anyways, I never thought Ant-Man would be a movie that we would even get, let alone be moderately successful or even good. So the fact that we could even just sit here and put it in B, where it's at, above, the rest of those movies aren't that great that we're putting it above. So,
I gotta agree with my boy Harrison here for Civil War.
Yeah.
It's gotta be in the
War
S,
equals S. I don't know, Harrison.
I think so, bro.
All cap movies are at least D. Just kidding. Yeah.
Bro,
I
I
put
got
it
it.
above Guardians. It's definitely above Guardians. Not above Winter Soldier though.
What?
Okay.
Dude,
me,
I
for
got
me.
I got it at the front of that list right now.
And Avengers 2.5. I don't know. Sometimes when I look at Zemo's plan, it felt a little bit too convenient. Like that plan relied on a lot of things falling into place.
Yeah. I will agree from that standpoint. And I feel like of anything, if I were to pull it backwards towards anything else, it's the Zemo storyline for me. That it took me a few rewatches to really kind of accept that personally. It's the dynamic between Cap and Iron Man. And the moment, this is one of the biggest moments for me in the MCU, was that fight at the end of Bucky and Cap versus Iron Man, and who chose who and what side was this, and like who could have done what. I mean, that was a huge debate. Who should have won that, really? If there was a fight to the death, who would have won, Iron Man or Cap?
I'm pretty sure Iron Man was trying his heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Cap
to
just outdid
kill
him, bro.
Bucky. He was trying to kill Bucky and subdue Cap. Like he was not playing games there.
Mhm.
Bro, two super soldiers versus a guy in a suit, and he still held his own.
See, but like, okay, to what you said about Zemo, bro, at the end, when I think it was actually Everett Ross, he said, you lost. And he's like, but did I though?
Yeah.
This man really put a dent in the Avengers as a singular being, bro, with zero powers.
Oh, he's the reason they lost in Infinity War.
He just manipulated everything. And I don't think it was too much of a convoluted plan. Really, it was to put Bucky as target number one and then show Iron Man that that Bucky ended up killing his parents and that Cap knew about it, bro. That was the worst part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one question: how did he
Getting
figure
them
all
there
that
was
information out?
Wait, what did you say?
How did he figure all that out?
With Armin Zola in the basement, because there was a news article flash that showed who killed Tony Stark when he was in the basement in Winter Soldier.
And
Of the bunker?
Didn't he? Was that in conjunction with the Hydra files that Black Widow released, where he learned everything?
Could have been, bro. Dude, Zemo.
There was a lot in there, man.
Zemo got
No,
the
I know,
resources, bro.
I'm just
Zemo
saying
got the resources.
from devil's advocate for people who are like, oh no, like Zemo didn't do, like, you can argue about this and you kind of have to fill some of the gaps in a little
We
bit.
do have to fill some, but like, bro, if you look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier, old boy got his own jet and Butler. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? He's got that research, bro. He goes like this: "Hey, Alfred, give me everything you have on a Winter Soldier." Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that part, I can see how people can nitpick it a little bit, but I think for the screen time that he had, bro, he went into that one Hydra agent, literally tortured him and said, "You need to tell me what this book is," or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was prepared to do what he had to do.
Yeah.
So when this movie came out and Batman or Superman wasn't too far behind it or ahead of it or whatever, I remember Batman or Superman was getting ripped to shreds, and obviously like it was just about every little bullet point or whatever. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna look at this movie as like nitpicky as I possibly can. So that was like the first like obvious thing that I saw was like, how did he get this so perfectly that he only got these three dudes in this room in the middle of nowhere, like just them, and was ready with the demo tape, like ready to play. It was just really convenient. I accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's still great. The themes are fantastic. The way everything played out and everything's emotional. The action it's fantastic. It's just, I mean, it made me scratch my head, and I can't ignore it, unfortunately.
A little bit too, especially from the UN bombing when T'Chaka dies and stuff, and they're just like, oh, it's Bucky. And like, oh, it's Bucky. I got to go after Bucky. Bucky, bam, gone. Oh, I'm going after Bucky from T'Challa's standpoint. You know, Black Widow's like, no, you can't. Well, I'm going to. Like, it moved pretty quick, but I think it was all worth it. and I don't really question it. It's the same thing. Like, that's the thing of why I wouldn't put this at the very front, is because there are a lot of things that happen in this movie that I just have to accept, and I'm like, I'm not going to overthink it too much. Like, it's just good. But
I mean, they had a lot to balance.
Yes, they did, especially roster size. Again,
Like, they
this movie's
arguably had more to do here in just a short amount of time with two
What's the
opposing
run
sides
time?
and putting them together, and also telling the end part of the story in such a short amount of time. Like, you look at this versus Infinity War, you had all these characters that were all Earth-based together, whereas in Infinity War, you got to split a bunch of different groups off, and then they slowly started combining to do their different, battlefields or whatever. But
yeah. All right, boys. Let's do this. Before we can come back, I think we have good arguments here for each tier. Let's just get the rest of the movies onto a tier, regardless of ranking within each. Let's just get them on, and then we're going to save this and circle back to rankings within each tier to get an official 1 through whatever.
Okay.
So, Spider-Man Homecoming, what tier do we think this falls on?
I think that's an
B.
A.
B a tier, B or A. It's either front of B or back of A.
I don't know if I would put this over Ant-Man.
Dude, when
but it's on this tier. It's on this tier,
though. It is
though.
over Ant-Man. I mean, you got Michael Keaton Vulture in there, man. You know the lines he's delivering in there. Peter,
and
basically,
for me, when he was sitting there and he's got the literal building on his back, he says, "You can do it, Spider-Man. You can do it." I was like, bro, he's like, "I'm Spider-Man." I was like, bro, I'm Spider-Man too. I'm in the theater. I'm Spider-Man too, man.
So we're thinking A.
It was a great coming of age story, in my opinion. Like, I think some people, discredit Tom Holland's character because they're like, "Oh, he's a high schooler, this and that." But I think it was a great coming of age story. I put it in the A spot, bro.
I put it in A too. I mean, regardless if people thought that Tony had too much of a part in physically and in the technology that Spider-Man had, like, I mean, they kind of fixed that. So
yeah,
now you know where that story went. But regardless, it's still a good story.
Sure.
Ultimately, regardless of what he had in his hands, Tom Holland was still a good Spider-Man. He still embodied the character. That's how Spider-Man would have reacted to being with Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that. Black Widow.
Ooh, it might be a C tier, bro.
That's high. That's high C. That's orange high C right there.
I gotta put B for me from the standpoint. Like, there are things that I can pull back from it, but Taskmaster was dope. Yelena was awesome and probably one of the greatest additions to the MCU that we've gotten from a side character standpoint. And Scarlett Johansson was pretty dope. I mean, the power creep in this was different, but
I'll give her a B. Give her B for Belova. How about I say Belena Yelova?
My biggest thing with that movie is that it just was made too late. Like, if that movie came out in Phase 3, it would have been a slapper. It would have done numbers. It would have been a very big one. The other thing that hurt it is it came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It coming out after her death just made no sense. It was long overdue.
No.
Well, they said that it was supposed to be like a send-off and her righting all her wrongs, and I really felt like she didn't do that. She freed some Black Widow agents, but
it created more. I was like, dude, I kind of want to see more of you. Actually, I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
This movie did leave a lot. Like, I was not satisfied with this movie from a lot of aspects, especially from Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Going into this, we were hyping about Taskmaster for a long time, like theory crafting crazy about, and then I'm like,
I like what they did with
Taskmaster. Don't even get me on the Red Hulk, bro. This was the one that I tell you to the day I die that I feel like this was the perfect opportunity to tease him. All right, bro.
All right. We'll
go.
No, where you going? What did I do?
I thought we agreed on B.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Well, B it is.
Black Widow. Said B for Belova.
That's right. Well, now we got B for Black Panther.
No, we got S.
Psych.
We got S for Black Panther.
A, not A?
No, I think that's it. I think that if it's A, it's high A. But
okay, here's the problem though. I got Wakanda Forever over this one, so I would put A. I would put this in the A, at the front of A. That's for me.
I think
I
they're
personally
both S personally, but
I think S still. Again, this is a game-changing movie, game-changing characters, game-changing world building. Like everything in this was a first. And I mean, supporting cast good, villain awesome, main character fantastic. Like again, we've talked about
for the
this.
soundtrack.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
This is when you're getting into like it is real. This took the MCU from like what Avengers did to make it cool. This took it into like mainstream where you're getting like artists now, you're getting political figures, like you're getting like people who are influential on the MCU train.
Yeah, I got people at work that never go see a Marvel movie, and they went to go see both this Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, just simply because it's representation, and I love it. I'm like, yes, go watch them, watch all of them. But if these are the only ones you're gonna watch, you got a great taste, anyways.
Yeah, this did something beyond just honestly what to this point I think these have done from a representation and cultural standpoint.
Mm-hmm. You gotta put it in front of Guardians just for me though, bro.
Yeah.
I know you said we weren't doing that, but just for my sake, so
it just don't look right.
So I can sleep well tonight.
All right, Doctor Strange.
Mid.
B.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna put it probably right after Ant-Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in the B.
From a story standpoint, I feel that way. I think actually in this, it's probably the best story outside of maybe Captain America. But I didn't. I at the end of this, I was like, do I like Doctor Strange? I don't know
if Iron Man with magic.
Kind of. That narcissistic personality was pretty spot on.
I mean, that's pretty much why they stuck them together.
Yeah.
True story. Thor Ragnarok.
Yes, sir.
Where are we thinking?
That's got to be an A for me.
That's A for me.
A for me as well.
Right in front of Guardians. Oh wait, no, sorry. I was thinking S tier. My bad, bro.
Probably the top of A.
Yeah,
do we think it's an S tier? Because I don't personally. I think it's probably one of the best. It didn't. Again, what changed in this? What revolutionized the MCU? What added and pushed it forward? I don't think it did it for the MCU as a whole, but it did put the character of Thor on the map. Told a story that the best that we could get of Hulk. I mean, Hello was Hello, whatever it might be. You know, Loki, you got some more. Like you still had some furthering and more introductions. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mid.
C.
Oh, you got a C.
I got it for a C as well.
Top of C for me. Top of C.
I got it for a C.
Okay, top of C. Top of C is fine. I'll take the top of C. The only reason why I have it, I would say, considering a B, maybe would just be the aspect of the quantum realm and just how much they can build from there. You know, the potential was they planted those seeds, and bro, that quantum realm came in clutch moving forward.
True. I personally like the movie. I enjoyed it. I just have to kind of like cast it to the side. It's just like that enjoyment aspect for me because it's just kind of like there. I don't know. Like I feel like it doesn't do enough for me, like with the story that it's trying to tell in its own movie.
Yeah.
But it's just it's enough. It was a nice filler between these two goated movies.
Bro, throw those all the way up there. Scroll up, baby. At the front. I want them on the left.
Uno dos. You can debate all day which one is the better one. I personally love Endgame more just because it's more of a comic book tribute.
Yeah. Let's go, baby. And you and me versus Greg right now.
Infinity War arguably is the better made, well-paced story.
Agree. I can agree with that.
I summed it up the best I could to Elias. You either prefer the greatest loss ever or the greatest win ever.
Yeah. And either way, you're not wrong. I mean, nobody's wrong with that.
Yeah.
I almost wish that they kind of kept that part 1, part 2. Personally,
I still to this day, and it's considered cheating. I consider them one movie. Like it,
pretty much.
It's still one movie to me. Like it literally picks up from Infinity War. It's supposed to be Infinity War part 1, part 2. That's what it is in my mind because I was there. I saw the announcement.
Bro, you call this guy and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm watching Avengers Infinity Endgame or Endgame War." I'm watching Avengers Endgame War.
That's right. I got 5 hours to kill.
Either Endgame War or Infinity Game.
This
We
one
won't
is a
spend
tough
too-
one.
Yeah.
I gotta put it in the B tier, bro.
Bro, there's no way that this is not over Homecoming.
To see, that's where I struggle. Is like I
You
feel
thought
like
it was-
Homecoming's better.
I think so too.
You
And
think
like,
Homecoming's better?
okay, and I kind of went through this kind of
Woo!
struggle. I went through the struggle when I was putting my ranking for all of them. At the end of the day, the character development that Peter Parker went through in Homecoming is what bumped it. Because in Spider-Man Far From Home, yes, he lost Iron Man, but he was like, dude, I want nothing to do with being a superhero. And he was kind of forced into it at the end because he got betrayed. You know what I'm saying?
In which
Like
one?
in Far From Home. In Far From Home, he was like, he literally told Quentin Beck, I just want to be on this vacation with MJ, tell her how I feel. I don't even want to be Spider-Man anymore, bro. Like, I'm ready to put the cape, to hang up the cape.
But why though? Why?
Because Iron Man died.
Exactly.
But he felt that he was responsible to replace him. But you can't replace
sure.
RDJ, Mr. 3000. Like, all you gotta do is be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And him being vulnerable to himself and not wanting that responsibility is what kind of bumps this down for me. Because as a superhero, it is what it is. You just, with great power comes great responsibility.
But he's not at that point yet, though.
There's a better story to tell with him not wanting that responsibility than him just being like not wanting to fill Iron Man's shoes. This is where the Iron Boy Jr., Iron Man Jr., whatever you want to call him, argument starts kind of taking a little bit of the validity, because this whole movie is about, oh, who's going to be the next Iron Man? And then it really turns into, oh, who's going to be the next just me? I want to be the next me.
Yeah.
But that story element works in the MCU, but like for Spider-Man, it was just kind of, I don't know, it didn't work for me because he has stories where he gives up Spider-Man for a way more valid reason.
100%. But again, this is, when we look at it though, this is where I feel like this is one of the hardest things for people to do, is separate source to an MCU version of a character. And by the time you get to the end of this, he leans into who he is as Spider-Man when he's fighting on that bridge, and he uses his spider sense to finally find him.
Oh,
Like,
man,
that
when
was
he
dope.
says, you can't trick me anymore.
Right.
Ooh, boy.
But like throughout the whole time, he was reluctantly Spider-Man. But I feel like, and I'm not making this comparison. I am not making this comparison. But I think he told a pretty decent reluctant superhero story that I just don't think that works for a lot of people in the MCU. And I'm going to throw out the name She-Hulk here, but people don't like the reluctant superhero, knowing how great of a superhero, maybe the greatest superhero of all time, Spider-Man is.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you look at how it was told in Spider-Man 2. Like, I mean, they kind of are retreading an old territory here with him not wanting to be Spider-Man. They already had a Spider-Man that didn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. Not even going off of comics. Like, his relationships are what caused him to not want to do that anymore. But Harry makes a good point he just dropped. I mean, the acting for Tom Holland is what brings this movie even just to a good level.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's just story beats that, like the whole Night Monkey stuff and him discovering all that stuff and getting a relationship with Quentin back, just kind of dragged for me. I felt like the pacing was just not there. Eventually it gets there, but I don't know. It's such a meh feeling that I can't, like, I've struggled to describe, because I get some moments like that in Homecoming, but it's far less.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like
interesting.
the main thing for me, I love Quentin Beck. Like that whole illusion scene when he was kind of like in that whole mind trip or whatever. That was crazy. That was like some of the best special effects we've ever seen. But then at the end of the day, Quentin Beck wanted to be an Avenger so bad, right? Like he literally said, people will see me as the savior in this Avengers level threat. Bro, let's say he joined the Avengers. What's he going to do? He's literally a fraud. You know what I'm saying? What's he going to be able to do there?
I don't know. I find this interesting, and then I find it interesting coming in the No Way Home. If this movie wasn't loved and Homecoming was, it's a piece of No Way Home that I question. However, 2-1, it's B tier, right?
I put it at the front of the beer. Front of the beer. Bro, what? front of B tier, like right in front of Ant-Man. It's
Okay.
a close neck and neck, but at the end of the day, I think for me it's that coming of age story that I really like from Homecoming that gives it the notch.
All right. Loki.
Oh,
I
it's
think
a
that's
good
an A.
prelude to No Way Home. I feel like that's where it kind of just is meant to set up his whole thing, where you just, all right, I'm ready to be Spider-Man, but then by the time he is, oh, you're ready to be Spider-Man.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right, Loki.
This is where it's tough because now we got to start putting in like several hours of content versus like just 2 hours of content.
Yes.
And this is where I like just feel so weird and icky putting a show up against movies.
It is very strange, and I will say if we can do this, let's give it. Can we agree to 15 minutes?
Yeah, let's do it.
15
I'm
minutes.
I'm going A for Loki.
I think so too. Top of the A. Yeah, top of the A tier.
I do feel A as well. That is where it sits.
Just for
Nice.
Jonathan Majors alone.
Bro, Jonathan Majors in that one scene, and that was how I knew that my taste was kind of changing because I loved the finale. And then my little brother watched it a few days later, and he's like, bro, the finale was trash. And that was one of those ones where exposition and dialogue really go a long way. And Loki was the one that put it on the map for me like that, you know?
I make a slight argument for low tier. This is like if there's an in between like S and A, Loki would live there for me because I like a lot of aspects of it more than the other ones, and it was very different, but not different enough. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna throw What If on here. I know
Oh,
a lot of people say
I'd
whatever.
go-
It's a mid right there.
I'd even go as far as C. And you know what? No, B is fine because the animation is actually stellar. The animation is very well done.
That Infinity Ultron story, though, that one episode, episode 8, when he figures it out, I wish that's what we got for Age of Ultron. If that was Age of Ultron story,
But then we wouldn't have gotten Vision.
I know, but I just wish I would have seen all those people and Ultron do it.
My thing is for the Ultron and the Doctor Strange episodes, like for those being so good, then you got your Party Thor episodes. Like that Party Thor episode did nothing for me. Like I know people found him funny,
They had a
but
dope fight though.
it was okay.
It is filler. That Infinity Ultron is actually why I lowered it, bro. Because when I saw that, I was like, bro, how are they gonna top this? Like, this guy is literally transcending reality. Like, dude, that episode, now that I think about it, was Multiverse of Madness. Bro was literally going universe by universe, dimension by dimension, and just killing everybody.
I mean, I don't think they ever should have stopped him, and it felt weird with the whole King Killmonger part and him getting bottled up. It's the confusion of, is this going to play a role in the future? And then we actually get Multiverse of Madness, and we get a Doctor Strange who looks very similar to the Doctor Strange in this, Captain Carter. Like, it's just kind of weird. I
think maybe it was a different Captain Carter, like another.
Yeah, I mean, none of them were who they were in What If, but if we get say we get a live action Captain Carter, is it this one?
It better be that one.
I don't know. No, but Multiverse of Madness, just the Multiverse Saga is going to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Like however they're going to be able to get these versions of all these different characters on the screen together. That's what they're going to make us accept. That's perfect. That's exactly where I put it.
No.
You would put it here?
I would put it in front. I'd put it by.
Oh, no. I was just putting it on a tier. It's an A tier.
Okay,
it's an A tier.
Yeah, it's an A tier.
Do I put it in front of
A tier is good. I wouldn't put it above Loki personally.
See, like this is where, and I know you guys.
I feel like we
got
should
your argument.
these down.
It's the finale for me. The finale just kind of
But okay, Marvel sold us on Two things. They sold us on a love story, which I didn't even catch it on the first time. Like, it was actually my wife who told me, wow, that was literally like a story about love and grief before we even got into the grief saga. Well, actually, it started us off with the grief saga, actually. And then on top of that, the reveals, right? Because the first 2 episodes, I'm like, dude, what am I watching, bro? I don't watch no I don't even know what it is, like the black and white sitcom stuff. But then when you find out why she has gone through that trauma or how she went through that trauma, and it has put her to kind of visualize this whole sequence of life in that reality, dude, like this to me has some of the best reveals in Marvel. And that's why I hold it up there with Loki, actually above Loki in my personal ranking.
I think Loki has one of the greatest stories ever told, beginning to end, for one character. But WandaVision, where I personally would put it in S, is it did something again different from anyone else. It's the first thing that we got, but the story that we told and the payoff that we got, the character introductions, just the delivery in Wanda's story, I personally think that was. I mean, it created a whole different expectation for the rest of the MCU moving forward. That this is possible, that we can get a character who did not get a movie that can get some love in a Disney Plus show and then get put into a movie and you have a whole new character.
Yeah.
Like,
and this show put Elizabeth on the map, bro. I know you said, that she had her fans in Age of Ultron, but
yeah.
bro, dude, go ahead and look up Halloween costumes for 2021, and I guarantee you Scarlet Witch was one of the highest. It's a fact, bro. She put it on the map.
She's big. I don't know. I think it's front of A. I think just from a story standpoint, again, for me, Loki is just like great. But I mean, I remember sitting there for WandaVision week after week being, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Now I don't do the same thing, but this was really good to me. And I like the dynamic that it had. So
I put it right there. That I could sit. I'll let it slide for today because this is your channel, but it does mine. No.
Dude, I'm trying to make the. I'm telling you, I would put it at the back end of S.
You guys beat me out. I'm the odd man out here. You guys beat me 2-1. You guys could put it above Loki.
No, you and Harrison got it on the D spot, bro.
I didn't say D. I put it in A. I just want to move it a little bit to the right in A.
Yeah.
Would you, Fabian? Would you put it in front of Thor or no?
The way you had it all the way at the end over there is where I would have put it. Like for me personally,
I can make the argument here, right here.
Nah,
bro,
we got the ultimate meme with Vishan, bro. Come on, that gotta give it a one bump up.
Let me go right here. We'll leave it in this tier. It's an A tier.
Oh my god, better than Endgame.
To the tier.
All right, should I leave this here, Harrison? Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Oh, bro, dude, I've been hearing lots of hate for that one.
Lots of more hate as Phase 4 rankings are coming out after Wakanda Forever.
Phase 4 is just all over the place with people's opinions, man. Never seen anything like it.
I'm
like
sitting
even before MCU, like I feel like people had more agreement on some of this stuff.
I think it's like a mid B, back of the B tier would be fine. I think I had What If above it, so that's fine.
From like a new age standpoint, would I say it hovers somewhere around here? It's an easy comparison.
I'd put it above Black Widow.
These just feel like they kind of just are like spin-offs. Not spin-offs, but they just feel right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid B. Yeah, he agrees.
Okay. I will say though, this had one of the most like wow moments. John Walker when he smashes that flag smasher with the shield. I was not expecting that.
Bro, they were trying to take take a number from the boys, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't get like the overall hate for his character. Like I get he was annoying.
I liked his character.
But at the same time, his character was someone that, he's kind of just been a loyal soldier to the system and he's just doing what he was taught to do. Kind of like Emil Blonsky. Like he was just kept doing what he was supposed to be doing.
He just seemed like a spoiled brat, bro. He was like, I'm Captain America.
Well, yeah, that aspect of it. that aspect of it was just what made him annoying. But some people were calling him like super racist because he was like saying all that stuff, or like, I mean, he didn't do
Bro,
Bro,
anything
his
like
best friend
directly.
was literally African American.
Yeah, I didn't get that whole like, oh, he's racist kind of thing. I just got like, he loves his country and he wants to serve his country, and he felt that he was, again, that narcissistic aspect
He
of
was
a lot of these
chosen.
characters. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. He felt like the chosen one. And when you feel that way, like, and you get knocked down a peg, especially by the Flag Smashers, when you get smoked by Carly, you're just like, what's going on? Then you get smoked by the Dora Milaje, and you're like, what is going on? Like, he got humbled.
He entered a world that he was not ready for.
Yes.
Nobody prepared him for that.
Right.
He thought
That's
it was
like,
just all fun and games.
Same thing with
He
Blonsky.
thought picking up
Same
the
thing
shield
with
would make him.
Blonsky.
He thought picking up the shield would make him Captain America. Psych boy.
No,
That's not
a
how it
Black
works,
Panther
fam.
suit. Nope. Wrong vibranium.
Ooh, give me that S tier.
S.
Now,
Bro,
I
I
don't understand.
have seen some hate for this movie.
Yeah,
man.
I was just about to say that.
I don't get it. I'm like, what? What does the movie got to do for you, man? Like, I get that he's not very well known.
Above
But, like,
Avengers.
I agree.
See, and
Above Avengers.
dude, that's where I got roasted on my post, bro. People were like, there is no way you put Shang-Chi above Avengers. And like, here's my thing. I don't want
This is how I really feel, just so I know.
I mean, that's how I feel as well.
Okay,
I mean, I know I talked a big game of Avengers, but I was just trying to put it in S tier.
Yeah.
This is the real how I feel.
Oh,
all right.
okay.
Let's
See,
hold up. Go back.
I like this because the last thing I want is a movie that, like Avengers, to just catapult itself to the front because of the caliber of how much went into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
for Shang-Chi to be a character introduction movie and to have such an impact on me that I'm like, bro, that's better than Avengers. That means that movie did something right because it didn't rely on having a stacked team to go against a universal threat. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I feel like people don't understand.
Well, the story with the father and like the generational gaps, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a minority. Like, I don't get it. Like, I related to it, even though I'm Latino. Like, I still felt like that.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of minorities have like similar background to that.
100%. But for the people who are saying like, oh, it wasn't good, and you go through and you dig, you're like, why is this movie not good? It's very hard for you to find a reason. Like, fantastic scenes, soundtrack, like everything that Black Panther kind of established. I feel like this movie took a step forward in a lot of different ways.
I'm sorry. I had a mutual that like really did not like this movie. He was like, oh, people think this is good kung fu. Like, there's movies that have played on TV, Chinese movies that have way better kung fu and like martial arts and stuff. And like, I responded to his comment, and this dude unfollowed me. We're mutuals, and he just unfollowed me because I was like, I don't understand. Like, I love the soundtrack. The fighting choreography was shot very well for an MCU movie. This is very refreshing. Disconnected really from the rest of the MCU, doing its own solo story. Like, I don't know what you want. Great performances. If you don't like Awkwafina, I mean, that's just taste. That's just, if you find her annoying, that's you.
But this is one of those movies where I feel like this is a movie that for anyone who didn't like this, watch behind the scenes. Watch how much Simu Liu put into this movie, how much all of them put into this movie, of his training. I know everyone on this list, they've done something. I get that. But this movie was it was a beautiful movie. And I can't say that about every MCU movie, but I think this was a beautiful movie, a beautiful story. And in the end, the one thing that a lot of origin movies don't get is, can I thrust you into an Avengers team? And the answer is yes. With the 10 rings, with his skills, with his ability, with his knowledge, with his connections, and his just sheer likability, he could share the stage with anyone on here. 100%.
Bro, I wish we would have got a chance to see him go toe-to-toe with Cap. I feel like he would have held his own. If Cap dropped the shield and said, let's just go bare fist to fist, let's see who goes, that would have been a great fight.
Nobody really brings it up, but those rings are just, they made them go from these lame 10 rings on your fingers to 10 rings on your forearms that literally give you like the power of a god.
Awesome.
Incredible. Major upgrade.
I love that the way, and they never shove the rings in your face because, especially in the beginning, I've fallen asleep to this movie probably like 4 or 5 times in the last
Well,
month.
then you don't want to say that.
No. It's the last thing I see before I go to bed besides my wife. I'm like, oh, good night. And then I turn over, I'm like, okay, Shang-Chi. And I usually get through everything to the bus fight scene, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna
He
fall
says,
asleep
"Good
now."
night, my love. Hello, my love."
But like the way that they utilize the rings and they tell them like they're never in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of feels reminiscent to, and I know it's down here and I know we were strapped for time, but like I feel like if Daredevil, the way that I felt about Netflix Daredevil, of how it was never in your face, but it was it was just good, is the same way I felt about Shang-Chi. That's the best way I can describe it. If I were to compare it to anything else, they give me similar feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel this way as well, but that's just a different thing. So I'm just gonna throw that back down here. Eternals.
Ooh, I got a hot take, bro. That's a mid for me.
Oh, I personally, for me, the Eternals is like in here.
Oh, okay, that's pretty decent. That's better than most people give her credit for, to be quite honest.
I love the story,
I
but I think
was flabbergasted. I didn't know how this movie was in the 40 percentile with critics.
Dude, same. I would
It
say
was-
it'd be top of the B tier, maybe low A tier.
when you look at this movie objectively between Guardians and this, what do you feel is a better movie?
Guardians.
And I still feel Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
but is
I
it is the gap very wide?
Not really, actually. Not that, when you say it like that, no. The only issue I think that this movie has that a lot of people think is not everybody got the perfect amount of screen time. Bro, they introduced 12 brand new characters that we had never heard of. How do you expect them to each get perfect screen time? Would have this show benefited in terms of Disney Plus? I 100% believe so.
Special presentation.
Yeah.
Even look at the poster. It looks like they could be a Disney Plus show. Look at how many characters are on that poster.
100%.
And for me, a lot of people also fall off on the Icarus reveal. Dude, that to me, I
I
was like,
like
oh,
that.
bro,
I liked it.
100%. Dude, I
And
was
the
like,
action at the end.
when Makari was bossing him, bro, that was some of the best fight sequences ever.
I think it was just too
It was a departure.
yes, it
Very
was.
much not MCU.
I will throw this out there. If all of these characters had different, like they were purple and orange and green and blue and stuff like that, like forgive the Power Rangers comparisons that they already have in their costumes, but truthfully, I think this movie would have done better because they look like humans. They're very. I said this when I was watching it when they were fighting in, I think it was the Amazon. I was like, and I made this joke the other day. I was like, this is the best DC movie that we've seen in a while.
Oh, is that what you meant, bro?
That's what I meant.
And that's why I literally said, boy, what? I got like 3 likes.
I just think that the way that they departed from the comics with these characters, I think especially like a druid character as well, I wish they would have stuck a little bit closer to the source on this and not when it's kind of closer to like, I feel like this is like more in like the woke culture category for a lot of people being like, why did you, especially with Fastos and that part, like
that was a big one.
This I think was just a little controversial in terms of like what people expected coming into it. Those that didn't know, they're just like, who? But from action scenes alone and special effects and the sounds, this movie, like Icarus's like laser eyes and the beams that come out when he would shoot those things off, and like just Gilgamesh's punches, like I thought that those were just awesome.
I was so upset when he died.
I was too. Athena had a decent story.
Called it, bro. Somebody's got to die when you got a roster that big. If nobody died in that movie, D tier, bro. When you got a list that big, you got to cut off somebody. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad Athena's around. Oh, there we go. Here goes the movie that everyone's pretending to hate right now.
I ain't pretending, bro. All the way to the left. Let me swipe left like Tinder.
Oh, and I cut you off. I cut you off right here. This is how I personally feel. I will always feel this way.
That's controversial.
It is, and I will lose.
Well, actually,
10 out of 10 times.
I've seen some people put Shang-Chi over it.
10 out of 10 times. If you took away Andrew Garfield, Toby, and the rest of those Sony fools, this movie easily goes here. Easily.
Bro, you always make those comparisons.
But they're
Like
not.
if
But
you
they're in the
took this,
movie.
I
if
know
you
they're-
took this, look, Greg, if you took, there's no movie, bro. If you took the 10 rings and the Mandarin out of Shang-Chi, there's no Shang-Chi.
Right.
If you took the Winter Soldier out of Captain America Winter Soldier,
No.
there's Winter Soldier.
It's not that easy though. It's not that easy. This movie was built on Sony. This is a Sony movie, through and through. Just done way better than Sony would ever do the movie. But the reason why I keep this up here is because it's a one of a kind. You'll never get something like this again. The 3 spiders are all the highlights everyone knows. There's no way you can duplicate this, and the fan service here is greater than maybe anything we'll ever see. But I just think that gives it's a plus, but in my eyes, from a rewatchability standpoint, like I can only watch this movie so many times.
I don't know. I disagree, bro. Like when I left that movie, like, okay, to make a comparison, I got Endgame at the top of my list. When I left Endgame, I could have died a happy man, knowing that I would never watch another Marvel movie and that the story was done. That's exactly how I felt when I left this one. I was like, if I never see Spider-Man again, I am satisfied in the fact that they wrote a phenomenal story for this guy. And I'll take that to the grave, bro. I'm telling you, I think the very last scene when he's on his own, bro, and he opens that apartment room, little busted, 50-foot room, I was like, dude, he's on his own, bro. He is literally going to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, has nobody else. He's going to rely on no more Iron Man tech. Like, this is the truest superhero story, bro. Like I've been saying.
Yeah,
Man.
I mean, we're reserving the spot for Spider-Man 4 then, because I don't know. I think again, it's an S tier movie for me, but it is. I never will see this as the number 1 MCU movie. I just won't.
That's fine. That's fair. Come back next week when we'll do it on my channel.
Nah, man, that movie is just one of a kind. You're never gonna see it again.
100%. And I just want to say this. The way that I argue about this, it's like as if it's a D tier movie, and I don't think it's a D tier movie. I really don't. But I think because I'm not such a Spider-Man fan, like I'm not a top Spider-Man fan, and I don't think his story is the best that's been told, why I can't see it stepping up in front of the 2 Avengers movies.
You guys know what my son's middle name is, right?
Peter?
It's Parker.
Oh, okay.
So I can't get enough Spider-Man. So
I'm with you guys. I'm just saying for the number 1 all-time MCU movie, I don't know. This is definitely the number 1 though, for sure.
Boy,
they use.
We have back-to-back arguments
so
here.
Well,
all right, here. Let me tell you this, and this is facts, bro. Like you can Google this. I did not mind this movie from an entertainment perspective.
That's enjoyability.
I'll give you the enjoyability. Outside of that, you're not getting anything else from me, bro.
I put it at the top of C tier, maybe right above Eternals for me. Actually, above What If.
Okay, I'm gonna say this though. Is it better than Black Widow?
Yes, 100%.
How do we have Black Widow on B? That's the only thing I'm thinking of is like, if it's better than Black Widow, and this, is it? I don't know. I think it's better than the first Doctor Strange for sure.
Black Widow isn't like that bad of a movie.
No.
I mean, there's people that will die like on the hill that Taskmaster, like I don't know where all these Taskmaster fans came from out of nowhere, but
Bro, that Spider-Man video
because they've changed one little thing about him, like, and they played him once, like you said, in a Spider-Man game or a side character in some Marvel game.
Mm-hmm.
That
nice
like,
DLC.
Yeah, or he was in Marvel vs. Capcom. Like that's the end of it for you. Yeah. I don't get it.
You could put it above Black Widow, and that's as far as you're gonna get from me.
I will say though,
look at Harrison. Only thing I liked in this was the cameos, and he spelled Illuminati wrong, but that's fine. But for me, if I'm coming into this movie for everything that isn't Doctor Strange, that to me, that's like the same argument I had for She-Hulk with you, bro.
No, that's fair. That's fair. This is one of those, and I think we're getting into more of you're seeing a shift in the MCU, and it's a world brand, right? It's not a little niche brand that we saw in the beginning when we were talking about, oh, Captain America, first Avenger, and all of a sudden, then bam, we start breaking the wall with Avengers. Like now they're really starting to get out there, and it is a real thing that the expectation is not everyone is going to like everything that comes out from here on out.
Mhm.
Whereas before, like if you didn't, really, we all could say like, man, Iron Man 2 was not that good. But like this is just like you're just starting to see it more and more.
You could
So
No.
we're
you
leaving
gonna
it
leave
in
it in a
C?
C tier, bro?
What do we say we're gonna do with it?
You can put it in
right
B.
above Black Widow.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give you that.
All
I
right.
still
All
feel
right.
like he still had an arc in there that was buried behind all the cameos, because it's really just that line, the two lines that kept going. Are you happy?
Mhm.
And you're only happy when you're the one holding the knife.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he found true happiness in finally trusting others. Because all the way up until that point, even in Infinity War, he still had to be the one holding the knife. He was the
Yeah.
one with the plan. He had the only possibility. He was the only one that could hold the time stone. He had to be the one holding the knife. It was always about,
Right.
and whether it was to satisfy his ego or not, like that's up for debate. But ultimately, he finally, through America Chavez, proved to be the only Doctor Strange, because she said she went through a couple of them,
Mhm.
right? And
No, it was just the one. Just the one.
no,
Well,
I
in the
thought she met a
multiverse,
couple. I thought
like
she met a
Defender.
couple.
She might have met a couple, but there was only the one that betrayed her, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's like, you're not like the others. All of them want my power, all that kind of junk. Like we end up seeing Defender and the
Yeah, he proved that he was like
different than the other.
he was different. He was 616 Strange. You know, the best Strange of all, the one that we saw an origin film for.
I will say this super quick. Multiverse of Madness, I had expectations that this was going to be on the scale of Civil War.
And I think that's fair, because I feel like in the name itself, like you kind of expect more madness and more multi. I mean, there was madness, but
yeah, but even in No Way Home, I felt the same way when it was just like the way that they were positioning that movie. I thought a lot more multiversal stuff was going to happen, and that movie was very self-contained.
Yeah.
All right, Moon Knight. This is interesting. This one I was very curious to see. I'm just putting it out. I'm not putting it on the tier.
You already know where I have it, bro.
Right here.
Shit.
Oh, wait. I skipped Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah, you did,
okay.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, you're right. I think that one's.
There are people that love Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was very promising when it started, and as the seasons went on, or the episodes went on, it just got worse for me.
Hawkeye. I'll give you the max at the front of the C tier.
Ooh, I was going to say back end B. The front half carried pretty well. One of the dopest entrances, though, when Kate saw Battle in New York. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Dude, I'm a sucker for the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Back at a B tier, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Echo and Kingpin being included were just the things that kind of like really watered it down. If you had just had the Russians and Yelena being the only things that were added on, like it's very true to form for the storyline that Matt Fraction wrote in the comics. The poster for this that we have right here is literally one of the comic covers.
Yeah, that's right.
It feeds from that storyline very well. Jeremy Renner embodies the character and the way he is in that comic story very well. Kate Bishop does as well. It's done really well, except for all the extra stuff that they put in there, because the Ronin stuff, like he should have had to like have more consequences for the Ronin thing.
100%. Which I thought were going to come down with Maya Lopez, who was maybe one of my biggest disappointments of Phase 4. Yeah. I had very high hopes for her, and I was like, what is this?
This is one of those shows where I think the lack of consequences is what bothered me. Yeah. I told you when we did our prediction, I thought Hawkeye was going to kick the can, bro. And if he kicked the can, it would have bumped it up for me. because I think at the end of the day, we need to have that consequence from
Yeah.
the
I would have been
hero, from the
satisfied if
hero's
he lost
perspective.
an arm.
That's fine too.
Something.
Something where he's like out commission for sure, for
No,
sure.
he
You know what
just
I'm
needs a
saying?
bottle of Advil a day. That's it. I don't
I'm sure
know.
there's some people that'd be upset that it is below Eternals, but
That's fine.
I
Whatever.
mean, we could reorganize this like thoroughly, but for time's sake, I mean, it's a B tier.
I think it's pretty
show.
accurate, dude. For time's sake, we've still been putting it where it belongs. I
Yeah.
feel.
That's one of-
Moon Knight.
Now let's get Moon Knight back up top, baby.
Bro, Moon Knight. Moon Knight's an A. Moon Knight feels like an A to
I
me.
put it right there next to Loki.
Yes, sir.
above
Let's go.
WandaVision.
For me, above WandaVision. I mean, you guys are the ones that love WandaVision. I will say here, I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there that I should have put out in the beginning. I love every single one of these projects.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Agree.
I will watch any of these at any given time. If it's on the TV, I'm sitting my butt on the couch. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna sit there for a bit, and I'm gonna enjoy myself. Even you could even throw on Iron Fist. If someone's watching, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna look at my phone, but I'm up here." I'll be
He's
your
gonna
emotional
look
support.
up when it matters.
But yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Like all this stuff is great to me. Like I live for this stuff.
Let me give you my 30-second Moon Knight sales pitch here. Oscar Isaac, I think top tier performance in the MCU. I got him up there with the Robert Downey Jr., to be quite honest. Brand new character with a completely new mystical lure that we haven't seen yet. And then Stephen Grant and Mark Spector character development. That's all I need to say. Those are what carried this for me.
If I were someone watching this and only this, and I'm like, this is the MCU that you've been raving about, I could understand. But I feel like even as a standalone, the character himself was fantastic. If I had to say anything, I wish that I got a little more Moon Knight action, to be honest with you. I liked what we got. I didn't really love the ending, but
I think as far as how much Moon Knight we got in the show, it's no different than most superhero origin movies.
Exactly.
Like we didn't get that much Iron Man and Iron Man 1 or Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange 1.
When compared to the original stuff that we have talked about, and in this time we've talked about things, it feels okay, but I think expectations are kind of outrageous. And I think that's where, people are like, oh, I mean, even myself included, like when it comes to the last episode, I'm like, most of them fall flat. Most of them aren't great. Did I love the giant Megazord battle between Amit and Khonshu?
I'll say this was my negative for Moon Knight. Some of that CGI was rough. A lot of that CGI was rough.
I didn't think so, dude. The only time I ever said it was the first episode, that truck with all the logs. That looked bogus.
That one was pretty rough. The hippo was where I was like, ooh.
I thought, dude, she looked like a human hippo. And Amit's, bro. Let me tell you this.
Oh, he looked fantastic.
If the Funko looks good, they killed it, bro. That's all. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, bro, every Moon Knight Funko is on my top tier list. So that means that they went crazy in the show. That's how I see it.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I will say this kind of is the embodiment of the A tier for me.
Wait, does the hippo have a Funko?
No. She needs one though.
She does. She's the goddess who doesn't have one yet. I don't know. Someone out there probably created one.
But yeah, otherwise, I really don't have it. I love how the story was kind of just told backwards. Because you're kind of figuring it out along with him, and I think that's good storytelling.
It's probably one of the most solid things that I would say we've seen in the MCU.
Yes, sir.
But not on a scale. I think that's the only thing that it's missing for me that doesn't put it up here. The music, the soundtrack, like I love that. I love how it expanded a little bit. I liked Layla. I thought she was super cool. I'm huge on the females being able to just do everything that the dudes can. I know a lot of people don't like that women can kick the crap out of anyone just like a dude can, but I like that they changed her and made her Scarlet Scarab. I thought that's pretty cool, and I think it was a good setup. And this is one of the few characters where I want to see more. Like WandaVision, if there's no WandaVision season 2, fine, right? There's not. Good, I'm done. But Moon Knight, if there's not a season 2, I'm grabbing my pitchfork.
I need a trilogy, man. I need
At least.
I need him in the Midnight Suns as well. I need 3 seasons.
Yep.
I want to know. Oh, here we go. Oh, Elliot's favorite.
Let me just say this.
Yeah,
gonna
it
say
sits
this.
right here. That's
Coming off of Moon Knight. Greg, hoy te toca perder.
Listen, bro. This to me was one of the most out there, most interesting, and from a character story only, this is one of the better MCU character stories that was told. It was about Jen, baby. That's all it was. The title She-Hulk, but it was about Jen. It was her story. And they told her story very well, in my opinion.
I think it really just comes down to personal flavor, man. It's just too weird. This is like, so I'll draw the parallel to anime. If I was telling Elias, like, I know his taste, I know he likes action. If I'm bringing up something, I'm recommending like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Mm-hmm.
That's got heavy action, beautiful animation. I'm not going to show up and go to him and recommend like a romantic comedy anime right off the bat with like some weird multi-dimensional characters. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm going for. It takes time to like ease yourself into like all these different stories.
Yeah.
And this is zany. Like, this is like not people's usual cup of tea. It's not comparable to like anything else up in here.
No.
Yeah.
It literally looks nothing like anything else.
Greg, the only reason for me that is not, well, I'm gonna say
I'll
give you a B. I'll give you a B. But why it's not an A is because of how she literally reneged the entire script. Like, I mean, you have to admit, for the sake of the show, this show had the very least amount of consequence. In everything that we've ever seen in the MCU, I think this show had the least amount of consequence.
I think, bro, this show transcends the show itself. This was more about the MCU and the fandom, in my opinion, than it was about the actual show. For as much as I just laid it out there and said it was a great story character. Like this, just like those top tier ones do, this is them finally stepping out and being like, we are so big and we have so many fans and we have so much, like so many eyes on our content that we're going to talk to you through us. And honestly, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, honestly, I feel like based on how I've seen people's reactions go, and there's been a lot of reactions, they made this show for the people that like her comics. And her comics, it's accurate. Like, this is how she is. Like, there's no, like, this is like the one time that they really went up to bat for the source material. And it's pretty similar. Like, she's like jump rope skipping on the page and like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, literally talking to the reader, like saying like, we need a rewrite. Like, I'm not going to do this. Like, this isn't how this works. There are issues with this show though.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they wanted to go with the comic accurate version of her, but she barely got to do a lot of that throughout the entirety of the show. And yeah, she's coming up with her own identity and getting to the point where she's She-Hulk. And one could argue that is how that's why the finale is the way it is because she finally is embracing her full on She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And she finally broke the fourth wall over the top style, but it just didn't. It laid it on too thick.
It was. It is one of those acquired taste things where you're sampling stuff and you're like, no, thank you. Or there's some people that'll flip the table. It just depends. I am on the side of I enjoy it, and if we see a season 2, I'm gonna watch it week to week. I may let it stack.
I've never seen you defend anything as much as this one, bro.
No, but the reason why though is like we're at the point now where we're getting so much content that I think it needs to be for the MCU to live. We need shows like She-Hulk. For them to look at it and be like, what value are we bringing? Because we have another studio over there at DC who's just giving us the same OP characters left and right, and it's making no money. Like
right. But I think it's always about that blend, bro. There's got to be a blend.
The hard part is this took up a lot of our time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a long 9 weeks.
If this was a special presentation, I will be honest with you, I think they could have accomplished the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people would have been like, cool. All right, what's the next thing? I think there would have been a better reception if this wasn't 2 months worth of people's time when we've been glued to
easier binge, honestly. Like if they had dropped all the episodes at once, I feel like we wouldn't have gotten, like, people would have moved on.
And that will bring me to Miss Marvel.
I personally feel like Miss Marvel is better than She-Hulk as far as like putting on that representation for that community, the main character being fleshed out. The second half of the show has its issues, as I've reflected on since when I first saw it.
Pure villain. I have to really dig to find some sort of antagonist that is worthwhile.
Bro, I told you this.
Practically isn't one.
I told you this since day one.
For sure. But again, to the point of this, for me personally, I'm at the point where we're getting so much stuff that I don't really care if there's a villain in this one or not, because I'm getting a new character and it's an intro. I want to know about Kamala and Miss Marvel. I don't really care about if the clandestine were the big finale. Like, for me, it just didn't matter for this. But at the same time, I binged the show. So I didn't have to wait week to week because I had zero expectations for this. And I kind of was just like, bro, I need a timeout from Disney Plus right now.
See, I don't know, man. I think that's where I kind of draw the line, bro. Like, what is the purpose of being a hero with no, like, it looked like she was kind of like in like a hero.
But you like this
Hero
movie,
Academy. No, I know. But he had a villain, did he not? And his focus was, I cannot let the Vulture continue to do this because he will put other people in danger. Kamala was like, oh wow, I got these powers, but what am I using them for?
But she hasn't.
Her purpose was just overcoming and finding her own identity to like really seal the issues within her family lineage.
No, I totally understand that. I see that.
I agree though. Like the villain was lackluster. Like the whole damage control, like coming after them. But I think that's also supposed to reflect on that culture, because that culture constantly feels like not just like police, like for a lot of people normally in the street, but like the government is after them.
Yeah.
Like the government is like hounding them, not to get like super political about it, but like, ever since 9/11, like the stories you hear about like how some of these people were treated, that hits. I'm sure people watching that felt that way. Like that from that community felt that way. And that's a villain to them.
Go to the airport today and look at a line of those who get checked and those who don't.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
I feel that,
but I mean, not to like discredit that in any bit, but at the end of the day, she lives in a world with literal super beings, and call it or not, racism isn't going to be the downfall of her superhero arc, right? Like, you have a African American who picked up a shield that is the symbol of America. Neymar, or Namor, whatever you want to call him, I feel like he said, my people and blah, 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 this and that. At the end of the day, it never felt like racism is at the heart of his issues and struggles. You get what I'm saying? Like, I understand the aspect of it, but in a superhero realm, I feel like that can only go so far.
I give you two things of that. And again, I know time, we're moving on, I promise. But if you look at two things, you look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man had a lift from Iron Man, and he had a lift from the fallout of Avengers. And Vulture scooped that up. Moon Knight had Khonshu, and then also had Harrow as an antagonist there. Miss Marvel was probably one of the most organic things that we've seen in the MCU. One of the most organic pieces. And knowing that the true villains got cut, the clandestine of that story that they could have built and that story that they could have told, and that world building aspect was pulled out of that show. Fine. But at the end of the day, from a character piece, if you take what they're going to do with her in the Marvels and put that in Miss Marvel, this is a different conversation. She carried that show on her own by herself.
That's a fact. Yeah. Well, now how is this girl who is jumping on lily pads gonna run with one of the strongest one of the strongest people in the MCU right now?
I mean, I think that's part of the story, though. I mean,
Right, I know, but I feel like from where this show ended to where she's gonna show up, they got a lot of explaining to do.
Civil War. Why Spider-Man showed up and he was a small piece. He kept up with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but when it came down the Cap, he got smoked. I mean, he had his moments based on his skill set, but you got to figure it's kind of going to be that same scale, if not maybe a little bit bigger. But
okay, we'll see.
these
but from Spider-Man to Cap, I feel like they're close in terms of a tier in terms of powers alone.
For
going from what we saw from Miss Marvel to where Captain Marvel is. If Captain Marvel is like top 3 strongest people in the MCU, Miss Marvel's got to be at least top 10. And as of right now, bro, I'll take Kate Bishop over her.
No.
How old was Kamala? How old was she in the story?
I think she was in high school, bro. Like probably 16, 17-year-old. She was probably the same age.
Younger than Peter? Or?
No, like right around the same age. Right around the same age as Peter.
Okay.
Well, like when Peter first showed up.
I just appreciated the show for what it was. 16. I'm not overhyping it in any way. I just feel like for the fact that they made it, I feel like it's important to a lot of people that aren't like us.
For sure.
And I'm glad that it's out there. And I feel like not every show has to be like this home run. Like it's okay for stuff to be mid. Like for it to be in this little tier level. Like I feel like that it doesn't hurt us. It only really I feel like it doesn't hurt. It only helps. Like we got these little side projects that help bring more people into the fandom, and hopefully at some point she gets her big moment. But right now, the stakes were low.
I lost my microphone here.
I can still hear you.
Oh, there we go. All right, I couldn't hear you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Miss Marvel is a villain away from being an A. Thor, Love and Thunder, last thing, and then we'll fill in 2 gaps real quick: Werewolf by Night and Wakanda Forever.
I personally put it B, but I get that the comedy in that movie is probably on rewatch gonna get really old real fast.
I'll tell you, at first watch, like if I'm just talking about enjoyment, at first watch, I got it right behind Far From Home. Whereas like in my personal one, where I'm not like putting all the things into it, I would have had it right in front of Ragnarok. But I can tell, I'm confident enough to say that I know this is not one of the best written movies. And I told you what I think it missed the most was 10 more minutes on Gore. I think if they would have just fleshed him out a little bit more, kind of shown him going planet to planet or doing whatever, it would have worked a lot better for me. But all that aside, I really enjoyed walking out of this movie. In terms of enjoyment, this is probably like one of my top 5 enjoyment movies.
That's it. I know we'll go back and forth on this one personally. I did enjoy this movie, but I felt the same way. I just enjoyed this movie. But when I critically look at it, it had a lot of issues, personally. I would have, if you were to ask me, like, hey, what would you have changed? I would be like, how much time do you have? Because there's a lot of things that I would have done. I mean, we could easily throw out the Guardians. Why were they there? Was the Ravager Thor scene fight purposeful? Omnipotent City, Zeus, is he dead? Is he alive? Oh, he comes back. Natalie Portman did not get enough time. Gore did not get enough time whatsoever, and I feel like he was kind of almost a wasted character, and I feel like this was very rushed. And it's hard for me to sit there and like want to watch this movie again. That's why I keep it in this tier, because that's how I feel about a lot of these shows and movies in here. Like I can enjoy them, and I did enjoy them on my first one. But would I really like want to watch these over any other ones? Maybe not.
Is that a like an accurate way to like feel like? And I'm just asking. I'm not like criticizing you or anything, but like, it's for like most of us. I feel like rewatchability is like a really big factor, because like the more times you want to watch a movie, and like you get that and you can get that enjoyment every time you watch it. I feel like
Mhm.
that's what like sets it forward, you know.
I mean, that for me, that's huge. I mean, I think rewatchability is a big piece, but it's just like, am I going? I only have so much time to spend watching things.
Mm.
So if I choose to go through and I sit on this list and I'm like, would I watch everything in S? Yes, I would contemplate any of those. Would I watch anything in A? Yeah, I would probably start over those series or watch those movies again. When I get in the B is when I'm just like, would I watch Captain America again? Probably not. Would I watch Multiverse of Madness again? Just to figure out like what can I argue about? Eternals, probably, but like Thor is not, especially from a joking standpoint and those things. Like it's very similar to how I feel about No Way Home. The big moments I saw them and I saw them.
I think ultimately like Love and Thunder just comes down to like your taste in comedy, because like
Mhm.
I've known people that have like watched Anchorman and Step Brothers
Oh my god.
and all those comedy movies over and over and over, and the jokes never got old. And you got that kind of lowbrow humor in this movie, and people go up for that. Like they love that stuff, and they will like they will rewind a certain scene that they thought was hilarious over and over. And I feel like that movie qualifies for that because
For
it's so
sure.
silly. But do we put
But
Step Brothers against like Goodfellas? Like no.
okay. For how many appearances does Thor have? This is my number one thing that I have to say about this, and I will leave Thor at this. For how many times that we've seen him, was this movie worthy of his eight or ninth, 10th appearance? Like this feels like it's like a second, maybe third. Like this is, I just felt I guess
feel
I
like
had higher expectations.
it barely wrapped up the arc that we had for him in Endgame, where he was learning to accept himself again for who he was as the God of Thunder, with the whole Love and Thunder tagline at the end, where he has now someone other than himself to worry about, and he's afraid to feel shitty about someone. Like he has a very beautiful arc throughout the entire MCU,
For sure.
greatest character development, but this movie kind of fell flat in like the resolution of everything. Yeah, he was depressed and anxious about everything because he failed on such an astronomical level to go for the kill with Thanos, and he cost half the universe their lives. That's the weight on his shoulders, and it caused him to go into a deep rooted depression. And that is real. Like that is the most real implication for a character that I've seen for a superhero. Like this is a god. You're talking about in Thor 1 where he was humbled. He
Mm-hmm.
was even more humble. Like he went down to rock bottom, and that's after he lost his mom, Loki,
Yeah.
Odin,
Yeah.
Loki again, his people, everything. He lost everything, and he just hit rock bottom. And that him him gearing up at the end of Endgame is arguably like one of my favorite, if not my favorite moment in the MCU, because it shows even if you go through those things, you can overcome those things and still
Mm-hmm.
be a hero and still be worthy. So that Love and Thunder just kind of barely hit the mark on resolving how he felt prior to that through how he was struggling and distancing himself from everybody. But that is completely overshadowed by the ridiculous comedy.
If and Elias, you might have some on this. If I had to say I would change anything about this movie, I would have actually done less Thor, more Mighty Thor, more gore, and further Thor's piece of the universe. But again, that's tough to do. I feel like he's been a focal point for a very long time, and now the door's open for another movie. So it's like, how are they going to tell that story in a movie? I would be very surprised if an original Avenger got a special presentation or was pushed to Disney Plus. So it's like, did it really set up another Thor movie, potentially directed
He's
by Taika
also
Waititi?
he's also stepping away from acting, because I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
heard, but
Yeah.
he's basically like 10 times more likely to experience dementia or memory. I forget what it is.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, yeah.
You got a predisposition. Yeah.
So I mean, if he never comes back because of that, I mean, he gave us his all.
Agree.
And he deserves all the time in the world for himself. We
Yeah.
don't deserve another minute from him on a camera. He did his part.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this has what I'm gonna call the Hawkeye effect. I think he should have died, bro. I really think, and you know, in our prediction video, I said I thought Gore should have been the one to take him out, or if they would have both taken each other out, like
Yeah.
a last
Double
blow
KO.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That to me would have been a great send off for him. It would have been a way to really showcase how menacing Gore was, and then you have Jane Foster kind of carry the mantle, but they ended up going a different route with it.
Which I don't know, and I just my last thing on this: did this movie feel epic to you guys? Not 80s epic, but just like legitimately epic in a lot of ways, and just classic MCU ways, I guess.
Small glimpses, but the epicness just again the comedy just played out in some weird moments. Like even when they were in the black and white planet, like the goat showed up, and you got a pretty awesome. You got a pretty awesome moment, a very awesome stylistic choice with how that scene played out visually, and but like it's just. I mean, ultimately, no, it doesn't feel epic.
But I feel like for me, that's why I don't bag this movie like a lot of people do, is because I didn't need it to be epic. To me, this was the legitimate Thor story, like Korg says. You know, here we're going on another Thor adventure, and for what a Thor adventure looks like to me, I was like, bro, this is exactly what it is. You know, I didn't expect them to try to reinvent the wheel or anything. It was what it was.
Well, I said this back when we reviewed it. I don't know what people expected, because when a company sees that one was really good, Taika Waititi made Ragnarok and reinvented the character and made him really popular.
Yeah,
they're gonna give it back to him and say, "Do that again, but more." And he did too much more for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think there was two things: too much Taika, and then again, knowing that Gore, like it really set in before, and we had our preview on this. Really assuming that Gore was a one-off villain, it was like, how much can he really accomplish in this movie? I still thought he was one of the better MCU villains. I just think this movie, though, like from what it delivered, it had one of the highest ceilings of any movie in Phase 4. But I don't know. I mean, you could easily say like it did what it needed to do. I just feel like of all the movies, this and Doctor Strange could have done something S tier. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They just didn't. But we're going to skip the rest of them. We'll come back. We'll circle back and we can get really crazy with this and include some Netflix and Fox and some Sony stuff. But here you guys have it. Not necessarily in the
Wakanda.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. I didn't have a picture. Okay, super quick. Werewolf by Night. Where do you guys have it?
A. Maybe even back of the S tier.
I go S, man. They did that perfectly for the short amount of time that they had.
Yeah, screw it, bro. Put it in the S tier. As a matter of fact, put Guardians in the back, bro.
See, as time goes on, that's the funny part about this is like when we spent some time on this early stuff, but as you're getting into the new stuff and you speed up and you see the quality of what they're producing, Phase 4 gave us some great movies, great pieces. I don't know how people say Phase 4 is the worst phase and how it's terrible. I don't understand that.
People are haters, bro. People those are the people who say, "Oh, Iron Man didn't die for this," or the MCU died with Iron Man.
Yeah, that too. But I feel like it's just because it gave so much and there's so much variety, and all that variety isn't for everyone. And you can say half the movies in Phase 2 were meh. Iron Man 3, 4.
Down here, bro.
Yeah, so.
Bro, look, we don't have anything from Phase 4 in the C tier. That should tell you something. Or D tier. Or D tier, bro. Like where are people? Bro, send me a screenshot so I can post this on my on my TikTok for all the haters that were like, bro, what are you doing? Yeah, I don't think Phase 4 gets the credit.
You got to
it
put the
deserves.
screenshot in the chat because we could crop it and cut out the bottom row. But.
Yeah, I will. It's good. It's good. I think moving forward, I'm very curious to see how they handle new character introductions of the big franchises that are still left. And that's easy to say. But that top tier, say what you want about Guardians, you can kick out. Some people are like, oh, Black Panther, whatever. Then you have Wakanda Forever. So let's say we put Werewolf in S tier. Wakanda Forever, where do you guys have that?
It's got to be at least two spaces in front of Black Panther for me. I would put it right in front of Shang-Chi, but behind Spider-Man. That's me though.
I put it right behind Winter Soldier.
Is a top fiver. That's a fact. Well, I guess for Fabian it'd be a top 6.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, bro.
Well, no, actually, no, I was right. Because Fabian, you said that's actually Avengers Infinity Game. So that's one
That's
movie.
one movie. So that's
yes.
It's in your top 5 as well.
My head canon, yes. No, man, I just feel like it's a beautiful story, like back to back, and you can argue like stuff like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You got to watch Empire and you don't like Star Wars, so I don't know.
Bro, send me the lists. I've been telling you for the list,
bro. They have numbers in front of the movie.
Yeah, I'm talking about Disney Plus. I'm talking about everything, bro.
Oh, you want me to break it down like that? I got you. I got you with the list.
Yeah,
you got time for that? Because
well, I'm gonna make time. Because dude, if I'm in, I'm all in. I'm not gonna get my toes wet. I'm diving head first, bro.
I'm very curious. I'm always curious to see people's opinions of the movies. First dive in because it's a different experience for different people.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the influence of and don't know what other people think ahead of time, like sometimes you genuinely get to form your own opinion and what you like about the movies and what you don't. I don't know how you're gonna like them compared to MCU products, because even I at one point was like, damn, the MCU really pulled the rug out from under Star Wars. Star Wars used to be the big thing for like a lot of people.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, Wakanda Forever is up there in that thing. I don't see how it's mid. I don't know how those 3 letters get put in front of it.
So here's the funny thing is you see how we have all of like phase 4 like either like in B or A, like just barely A, and then only a couple things in S. Some people find this B area unacceptable. B and below is like I guess like I don't know if they're gods on in what was that city in Love and Thunder?
Omnipotent City.
Yeah, Omnipotent City. I don't know if they're gods sitting around like no. A or above, fam. Like I'm not messing around. If your movie is not in my A to S tier, don't even consider it a film. Like
no. Again, like you said, everything in this is. I mean, the D thing. D is maybe.
But you think about it, like okay, so right now S and A, I just counted it. We got 18 movies in there, if you include Wakanda Forever and Werewolf by Night. That's 18 out of 30, bro. That's more than 50%. That's more than 50%. And out of those from phase 4, you're only looking at really 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the shows kind of bring it down. But in terms of a movie, there's only 3 movies that aren't in the A or S. I don't get where people come up with the MCU's dead. Like, where are these people coming from, bro? Where are these people coming from? And you know what's crazy? When you tell them, like people who are gonna roast, if people say, "Oh my God, this list is wrong," okay, go make your list and let's compare notes. And they won't. They won't make a list. They just want to talk and say, "Oh no."
Exactly, because people don't want to put themselves out there. Like they don't.
Yeah.
Like phase 4 has been so different for a lot of people, but like people barely do anything to explain it.
100%.
Like people will like say She-Hulk is trash or like oh, she was a B word for talking down to Bruce's trauma that doesn't even exist canonically in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like it's mind-boggling. I don't know where the three of us picked up like the media comprehension. But like clearly the rest of the internet doesn't not possess this ability. I don't know. And not to toot our own horns over here, because it's not like we're the greatest thing since sliced bread, but like I feel like we generally have good discussion about these films and what their flaws are and what they're not, and we can come to a good agreement most of the time about this stuff. Except Greg, he is gonna die on She-Hulk's like.
Bro, I'm telling you, especially it is diverse things like this that you're getting hundreds of hours in a phase. Do I think that they could do it differently? 100%. I think that they could do a few of these pieces differently. But again, it's the intro phase. Like phase 1 wasn't perfect. No phase is perfect. But now they are understanding what fans really don't like, and the fans who did like the stuff, those are the opinions and stuff that you as a company are probably going to look at and be like, okay, you like Doctor Strange. What do you like about Doctor Strange? All right, can we pull something different? And then we make some wild decisions, throwing him in with Clea and getting a third CGI and all that kind of stuff, questionable. But at the end of the day,
they don't care what we think because most people don't know what they want.
It's true. It's true. And it's a buffet. The MCU is a buffet to me. And I'm going to finish a plate and I'm going to get up and I'm going to go back and I might get the same thing and I might try something different. But I want to go to that place every single time, every single day. So I was going to say something earlier. Oh, you said like more is more or something like that. I'm like, bro,
No.
Listen.
No, I'll never make that argument, bro. Don't do it.
Did we not just do this entire list?
Right. But dude, more is not more, man. More is not more. Bro, there's only one more, and it's namor. Okay? Let's get it right.
Bro, I'm gonna put it to you like this. Boruto is an anime that gives you more is more. And I'm tired of more is more because the story's not going anywhere. Like
exactly.
True. But again, the nice thing about this is, yes, you have Boruto, but everything that is a part of it is going to be Boruto. If you're going to get different types of anime with different characters who give you different spins, that's how this is going to live. Because at the end of the day, if every single thing is going to be Infinity War, Secret War, Endgame, like at some point that people are going to be turned off. We saw how people are turning their back on Phase 4, and we just talked about how good Phase 4 was.
Right. I mean, you got to build a little bit of a lull to like in a strategic way in order to build. You got to come down in order to come back. I mean, that's just literally the graph of storytelling. You got the, exposition, rising plot.
Slow down? Can they pump the brakes though? Can they pump the brakes?
They don't need to pump the brakes. They don't need to pump the brakes. They just need to ease up on the gas. There's two different things.
I like that actually.
That's all. I got it, bro. I've been taking notes from the boy Namor. With the lines that he says, you know what I'm saying? I
like that, but I guess more isn't more.
You gotta Photoshop Wakanda Forever and Werewolf by Night in that pic.
I will. I'll put it on. What do we got? Harry, you got your final thought here. We need different kinds of shows. Not everyone has the same taste.
Bro, he said that half an hour ago.
Well, on that note, I'm going to go to bed. Hey, I appreciate you guys jumping on, going through the tier list here. Phase 4, it's done. We do have the holiday special coming up, though, so we'll talk about that. Oh, yeah. The below mid. I heard it's below mid.
Dude. Bro, I mean, come on. Come on, man. And I don't want to hear this. Hey, if I see you put up a video on TikTok saying this is definitely not filler, oh my god, bro. You might have to unbook me for these Sunday nights.
Going into it, this is the one thing that feels extra filler to me. When you say holiday special from Guardians when there's nothing to do with Guardians, period, that feels weird to me. And am
I gonna enjoy it? Yeah. But
I don't know, maybe. Do I want to see Drax eating a cookie, being invisible in a Christmas sweater? Probably not.
I mean, we
Well,
just
hold
got to
up,
see.
hold
Like,
up.
this is where I come up. This is where I come up with more is not more. Like, I think they could have just saved time and not putting this out, and dedicate those ideas and whatever to putting something else out in the future.
So, final question. So you'd rather have nothing here and then take Wakanda Forever, Gap, Secret Invasion?
Exactly.
What
I'd
are you
rather
gonna
have
do in
nothing.
between?
Well,
We
bro,
don't have to have something.
the past 7 to 8 years, I've been kind of falling off of Marvel. I think I'm gonna head over to DC. So
Legend.
bro, like that's the thing. Like I don't need them to just put something out for the sake of attaching Marvel to the name of it. Like make it worth my while. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Greg, why would you buy a medium popcorn for $6 when the large is $7?
Because I'm hungry, bro. I want to eat in
Bro, the
between.
large
I
is
don't wanna
$7.
wait.
The large is $7.
Yeah, but you know what?
The medium is $6 and the small is $2. Take the large. Don't give me the medium.
Bro, this isn't a greed. This isn't coming from a place of greed for as easy as that might sound. But there are so many stories and characters. Like we haven't seen Guardians in so long, and we know we're most likely going to see the end of them.
Wait, what do you
Right, but
mean?
who else have we never seen?
We just saw them in Thor: Love and Thunder.
And who else, bro? How many people have we not seen? Bro, look at that Funko wall behind you. How many of those people have we never seen?
Oh, what do you mean? I could pull out.
There we go.
They're gonna debut him after we're dead. Like,
no, he's getting a special presentation. All right, I believe them. I believe the rumors.
See, so like Greg, so that's my point. So what if they said, okay, we can give you a Garden special or Silver Surfer, but you can't get both?
Well, I can get both, and I'm probably going to get both.
No. But I'm saying, no. See, that's not the more is more thing. The more is more thing in your head is that I'll take whatever I can get. I'm taking.
No, bro, I'm not walking down the street and just looking for sloppies. That's not what I'm trying to do here. That's what more is more. That's what more is more to me. No, it's not just any kind of more, though. It's not just any kind.
Well,
all right, I'll say this is my last thing. Until they finish an MCU version of Fantastic Four and MCU, then I'm done. Then I will say I'll pump the brakes or let off the gas. Until they power through that, there's still more to be done.
Okay.
That is true. They need to correct the awfulness that has. I mean, the Fox X-Men was whatever. The Fantastic Four is garbage. Until they clean those up and fix those and give us something solid, I cannot rest.
Hold on. The first Fantastic Four movie is not that bad.
For its time.
For its time. It doesn't hold up too well, but for its time, it was not an atrocity.
I was hyped for that.
Fan Four Stick is the atrocity.
Oh,
we had years of like good superhero movies already established. How that one slipped through the cracks to be made without anyone being like, you know what, this really isn't up to par.
Bro, the trailer was better than the movie, bro.
I was hyped for the trailer, but
I watched that on bootleg. I ain't getting my money.
No, I gave him my money. I gave him my money and asked for a refund as soon as I walked out, bro.
Yep. Nah, man. We can have this conversation in the future state MCU, but I want them to keep putting stuff out. I do.
I want them to keep putting good stuff out. Give me the A and above. I don't need D's.
She-Hulk season 2.
Ooh,
bro, we just talked about B's, and you're like, I'm all for it. This list is great, and now you're like, no, S tier only.
Wait, you don't want the mid stuff anymore?
No, I said no C's or D's. If they're gonna put out, let's say if they put out, okay, I'm gonna close it out with this. Let's say they put out 5 C's per year versus 2 A's. Give me the 2 A's over the 5 C's.
But you don't know that unless you do this. You need this phase. I highly doubt that they continue on the Disney Plus that we got in phase 4. I doubt that they do in Phase 6.
No way, bro. What, dude? Disney Plus is the move, bro.
It is the move, but I'm saying that's probably been the worst part that people complain about the most.
Right, but
people,
that's
They need to refine whatever
exactly.
that goal is.
We got the Gen 1 Disney Plus out of the way. Gen 2 is going to be better than Gen 1.
No, it's
And
going to be exactly the same. They're going to
there's
keep
no
punching out the same amount of episodes, and whether they need to or not. 'Cause a lot of those could have been like just episodic, like a little bit longer than a full length feature film. The only one that really deserved or needed the TV format just because of the nature of the show was WandaVision.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally, it's about television programming. Like they have nods to other television programs.
Yeah.
The other ones are basically mini movies.
which is fair. I think it's the market of the actors and actresses who want to participate in these. I think that will be the play. But fellas, we could go on for days about this. We said
Another hour.
We said 1 hour. We made it 3, bro.
That is the beauty of the MCU, though. So it's going to be one big live stream that's going to be posted. So if you made it through all 3 hours, essentially, of this, DM me because you need to be on this channel because you're dedicated. We need to see your dedication. But hopefully we'll see you guys next Sunday in some fashion. I think we covered the next 3 weeks. So we'll see you guys in December. And with that, we are out. Take care.
Night, guys. Night, fellas.
Night.
Oh, that was nice.